Oh, well, thanks for joining us, man. I really appreciate it.
No worries, no worries. Thanks for asking me.
As I said just before, I've been following you online for a couple of months.
It sounds scary when people
Consuming
actually
your
say
content. Well, if you put it out there, people consume it.
it. Yeah.
That's really cool. So, like, how do you describe what in that sort of role? What do you do
In terms of the content I put out?
Yeah,
That's a kind of a long story.
that's why we're here.
Well, I guess my day job is I'm a media specialist. I'm a media lecturer, and that used to be film making because that was kind of I thought that was my passion because I realized that since I was like 6 or 7. I was born in 1977, so for some reason the original Star Wars, Smoking the Bandit, I freaking loved those movies. Cannonball Run, loved them. But I realized after making lots of films, I actually kind of hated the process. But I loved the thing called the hero's journey. Have you guys come across that?
I don't think so.
It's loads of guys who've done this. If you study stories all around the planet, all these different tribes and civilizations that have never met each other have the same structure. And so it's the guy in the ordinary world. The fantasy films show it easier, but it's in every film. So, you're in the ordinary world, like the Shire, you get a call to adventure, which is Gandalf, come with me, or Ben Kenobi saying, hey, come with me. And Luke's like, no, I don't want to go. Because you're not supposed to answer the call to adventure because it takes you out your comfort zone. It makes you nervous and you're scared, which is good. And this could be like a date. Like this was a call to adventure. Like, hey, Darren, do you want to come on a podcast? And immediately I was like, oh God. And then you answer the call and you find mentors and whatever. So I realized that what I loved was the hero's journey part and growing. And I'm a big gamer and I treat life like Witcher or Skyrim. Like you do tasks, you get experience points, you level up. That's how you deal with the world.
That's true.
Told you it was going to be a long story. So, and I realized this mainly when my daughter was born. And so she was born and I got postnatal depression, which I didn't know guys could get.
How long ago was this?
This was 2016, January 2016.
Okay, right.
I need so many bonus points for remembering my daughter's birthday. And I was diagnosed real quick, and I realized I'd had mental health issues probably most of my life, like social anxiety, a bit of depression, and anxiety as well. But I realized that most of the pain I'd ever felt in my life was stuff that no one else was really talking about. So I started to find people online talking about mental health, particularly men. There's a great author called Matt Haig who does, Stephen Fry does. And if it wasn't for them sharing their stories, I don't think I would have been able to deal with what I was going through. So they were the mentors, the mentor role. And I just see it that if you go on a quest and get experience points and, defeat metaphorical dragons, you should go back to the ordinary world and share what you've learned. Yeah. Otherwise it's selfish.
Yeah.
So I started to learn as much as I could about myself so that I could deal with what I was going through. So I became a thing called a neurolinguistic programmer, which is about how you communicate with others and with yourself.
Say that again?
It's a neurolinguistic programming practitioner.
Right.
NLP. It's kind of like CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, but it overlaps a little bit. And then I really studied ego, like the books of like Ryan Holiday and stuff like that. And because I'd run a martial arts studio, I was also into Stoic philosophy and kind of samurai culture. So I just learned all these skills. And then because I work in education, and the mental health issue with teens right now is just my job is to often deal with panic attacks. Like, I don't know, this has happened in the last few years, but that's an everyday part of my job, is dealing with panic attacks, dealing with eating disorders, anxiety. It's huge. So I started to share what I'd learned in class. And then one student was like, there needs to be one of you in every class, in every school. And I was okay. So I wrote a book and put that out there. And then I started getting asked on podcasts.
What's the book called?
It's called Level Up Your Teens.
I did see that, yeah.
It's got a cool, it's supposed to be like a Skyrim cover, but it's just...
Yeah, I did, yeah.
I'm not sure it works. So the ultimate aim is to help other people kind of get out of the matrix, get out of the ordinary world. The way I see it, as sort of any parent does, is you hold your kid and you don't say, well, I hope they grow up and get a job they hate and work 40, 50 hours a week until they die. Like, that's not why we were put on this earth. So, and then you were happy when you were 3. Like, you were creative, you tried everything, you
Fearless,
absolutely. You liked how you looked, you were fascinated.
You didn't care how you looked.
Exactly.
You just didn't come into it, did it?
And then it used to be at secondary school, like people stopped putting their hands up and wanting to know, start worrying about what other people think. But that's filtering down now into primary schools. So literally, we are all amazing. And then the media and the education system starts making us feel bad about ourselves and scared of failure. Yeah. And so because of that, we create our own prisons and live an unfulfilling life. So the answer to why I put content out there is partly because it's my own hero's journey, because it makes me nervous. I'm socially, I'm an introvert, and it's really, really draining for me to do it. But I know if I can just help one person, then it's worth it. So I want to put out content, and I want to help other people realize that the suffering they're going through or the prison they think they're in is kind of a figment of their own imagination based on the language they use.
Right. So do you think because the anxiety and the panic attacks and all this mental health awareness that's going on at the moment, has that always been there? Or is it like social media and the internet just made us more aware of it, or
See, it's really hard.
did we not recognize it as much back then?
I do wonder about that, because the world, like this generation is the first generation that's been inundated by like social media and the internet since they were born. So I think there's more distrust now. So if you go back, even not that long, but you'd go to school, you trusted your teachers, you'd get your qualifications, you'd leave school and get a job, whether that was in the mines or the shipyards or the offices or whatever, because school is set up for that. It's set up to put you into a job where you do as you're told and you follow bells and whatever. And then you would do that until you die or until you retire, and you retire about 60, and you didn't worry too much about the rest of the world and you trusted the BBC totally. It was like Trevor McDonald. Trevor McDonald said this. Like the BBC had the level of trust then that Stephen Fry has now. Like
That's true. Yeah.
like if Stephen Fry says a fact, you're like, oh, that's a fact.
Yeah.
Like, at the BBC, it's like, yeah. So I don't know what those, and if you go back far enough, not even that far, but 50 years, 60 years, the diet was a lot simpler. It was good, organic food, probably. Like honest
Not
food.
all of it. You just weren't aware of what you were eating.
Yeah.
Like tripe. Who eats tripe these days?
Yeah, that's true.
Your grandparents.
Yeah.
Tripe with tea?
Oh, that is true. There are some gross things when you, yeah.
Plus, like things they used to recommend that you smoked.
Yeah,
Doctors
right?
would recommend that you smoke.
Yeah, but you then
That
didn't
was
have...
the days before they did research.
Yeah, but then you didn't worry about the effects of smoking, because
That's
you were
true.
just like...
Can you boost me a little bit? He's quite loud. I'm quite quiet. Can you boost me just to maybe his gain?
No. You're not. You're loud.
Oh, to me, I'm quiet.
both-
He's quiet.
you're both
He's
the
loud
same.
and I'm quiet on mine. I'll turn mine up anyway. There we go. That's just because I can hear myself. There we go.
So yeah, I think today we're growing up with junk food as well, and we are being inundated with stuff. We're comparing ourselves more to other people. We are more aware of what's happening globally. We
Definitely.
don't necessarily. There's just so many things to worry about and be scared of now, particularly for teenagers, because they're told that they're going to come out of school. They know that a degree might not be worth it because they're working in Greg's next to someone who's got a degree. They're told
It didn't do anything for them.
yeah, they're told that they won't ever be able to buy a house. They're probably going to live with their parents until they're 30, 35. Like they're going to get killed by terrorists. The environment's going to be wiped out in 12 years.
Yeah, the world's gone. So what's the point?
So I don't know. I think I wonder. I guess I'm an optimist. I like to think that it wasn't always there, but certainly not. I mean, but then maybe it was. I don't know. It's hard to know, right? Unless you were able to go back and check. But
So you doing a lot of work with teenagers then? Was that that was the inspiration for doing the book and stuff?
yeah, because I teach media 3 days a week, and because it's art as well, I tend to, like, one of the reasons I stopped filmmaking is we were just making, I don't want to say trash, but stuff that wasn't having an impact on the world. Like, and I love it. It was fun. The kind of things that kind of make your friends laugh.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was like, well, if we're gonna have influence, we should do it for a reason. Which is kind of also how I got into leadership, because as you know, with this format, if you communicate in any way, you have influence. If you have influence, you're a leader because people can be influenced by you, and you should do that with intent. You should do that to have a positive,
for the right reasons.
for the right reason.
Yeah.
Particularly when there's so much hate out there.
Negativity. And
Yeah, and people with big platforms kind of putting out that hate.
yeah, that's true. Younger people are more susceptible to all that, and you get a bit as you get older, you get more thick-skinned. And like for me with social media, if I put something out and it gets comments, I usually just I don't bother. I don't good or bad. I don't bother because.
Why do you think you can do that?
What do you mean?
As in, why aren't you impacted? Where's your strength come from?
I just don't think it's relevant. I'm confident in what I'm doing. I know the guests always seem to have a good time. I look a little bit and I say, the downloads are going up all the time. So that's the only thing that's my barometer of how the show's going. As far as like the opinions of people who I don't know, especially mainly the negative ones.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me. It's not relevant. I feel it's a waste of time to sort of pay attention to it.
I agree entirely, but that makes you a superhero. Like
I would not go that far.
that's a really hard skill to learn and be consistent with. And I can't do it consistently. I'll still get.
I think that's an important message to try and get to younger people as soon as possible, because they well, like they're saying, like how old are you?
42.
I'm 38. So we're probably
You look so much younger than me.
Not this again. But I'm probably the last generation where I can remember when there was no phones, no internet, none of that. So our interactions were completely different, more pure, simple.
Yeah.
But now teenagers growing up have just got so much to take in.
Yeah.
It kind of makes them smarter, but also more vulnerable at the same time.
But the things they're smart in aren't valued.
That's true. Hence the rise of reality TV and all that bollocks. It's just irrelevant, and it does nothing for anyone.
Yeah, no, I agree. People in my office are dying to get me into Love Island, and I'm just like.
I've said this on another podcast where I watched the first ever Big Brother. I don't know if you watched that. That was good.
Yeah.
Because the people on there didn't really know what it was.
I remember them being like, do you think anyone's watching us?
yeah. And it was hilarious, and it was like gripping at some points when they had conflict and stuff, because it was all organic and natural. No one really knew what was going to happen. Whereas a few years in, I stopped watching because you were getting people in, they know what to expect. They just wanted to be famous.
Yeah.
And the level of, I don't know, the intelligence of the whole thing just kind of gradually went.
The fame thing is weird. I remember I used to make films. One of your guests was Andrew Elliott, and I used to make films with him. And he was once an extra on Coronation Street.
He did not mention that. He didn't mention that, did he? I don't think he mentioned that.
Well, but his parents were more impressed by that than anything else he's ever achieved. He was like, I've directed this film, I produced this. And, you were in Coronation Street.
For 4.2 seconds.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
But getting on TV is seen as something amazing. It's something to achieve.
It doesn't really mean a lot. In podcasting terms, on iTunes, there's this thing called new and noteworthy.
Nice.
Everyone keeps banging on about you have to get new and noteworthy. And it might get you like a bump of a couple of days of a few hundred downloads. But after that, you're back down to where you were before. It made no difference.
Yeah.
So, I've never even looked at the charts. If we were in it, I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. That's not why I got into it.
Why did you get into it?
Just because, mainly for to make sure I get to keep talking to people one-on-one.
Nice. Sure.
To keep in touch with people in the music. I started off as just purely music industry because that's all I know.
Yeah, sure.
To keep in touch with people, sort of keep involved in the music industry. But then as it's progressed, it's opened up to other people. Hence why you're here.
Nice.
Like 2 years ago, I wouldn't even thought to have someone like you on. But now I'm open to anything because I want to keep learning. I feel like your views should be challenged on a regular basis. You should be open to different points of view.
Yeah.
People should be able to disagree and still be friends.
Yeah, exactly. Just because you disagree doesn't mean you hate someone.
These people. I mean, a lot of it's fabricated in mainstream TV and stuff. But they always get two people from opposite ends of the scale.
Yeah.
And they also they end up talking over each other, so nobody gets any points across.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's just not the way to do it, as far as I see.
I think my favorite Marvel film. Now I'm going somewhere with this. Is Doctor Strange, and it's partly because there's a line in it where the mentor character says, "You're a man looking at the universe through a keyhole," and that's all social media is. But they're so sure
that's
that
a good
their
way to look at
universe is that their universe is the real one. It's like no, and I find it fascinating because you can be talking to people like around the globe in a conversation. It's like, well, that's not how it is in Italy or Romania or Israel. It's like everyone needs to be open in their minds and realize there's other ways of living your life.
Yeah,
there's other ways of eating. There's other ways of being educated, but they get really sure that their way is the right way. Even they'll tell you the best example I can give of how I've been trying to be more open-minded is the flat Earth believers, the guys who are like the Earth is flat.
Is that real?
They seem pretty adamant. They have
I
followers
hard to believe.
all around the globe, don't they?
I don't find it. That's true. It's not that I don't find it hard to believe that is a thing. I find it hard to believe that people believe it.
Yeah. But then that opens up so many other things, whether it's like aliens and different religions and stuff.
Yeah.
But now, before I'd be like, well, they're idiots. The world's not flat. But then I think now, well, why do I believe it's not flat? Why do I think it's a globe? Like flat makes more sense. Like the idea that if someone said, okay, we're actually on this big ball of rock, it's spinning around at 100 miles an hour, then that's hurtling around the sun. It's like, right, so how are we stuck? But that idea would be harder to believe if you'd been brought up that it was flat.
Maybe a few hundred years ago.
Yeah, totally. But now I think...
But these scientists and their research and all that.
I know, right? But yeah, but I'm still interested because if you're programmed from birth,
so how come we've never seen any photos of space of a flat Earth? We've only ever seen photos of a spherical
you're
Earth.
clearly not following these guys. That's NASA propaganda.
I know it is. I know it is. I thought I'd just ask the question.
Yeah. So, but I'd much rather be like, can I ask like why you believe that? Like, what's your evidence? And actually, if that turned out to be true, like at the end, like suddenly someone pulled back the curtain, I'd be like, you got me. I thought Star Wars was real. I thought all these sci-fi movies were right, and I had no idea.
I don't know. I don't know how, because that's a fairly recent thing. There's been a resurgence in the flat Earth thing, hasn't there? Last couple of years.
It feels that way, yeah.
It almost feels like it was someone's propaganda campaign for something that we don't know about.
Yeah.
That's people have gone, I'm going to believe that. I don't know if people really believe it. They just kind of go along with it because it's like something different.
That's a good way. I wonder if people are just searching for a sense of identity and something to belong to. And it's almost like being interesting. Like there's so many people now, there's so much white noise. It's like, well, what makes you interesting? And I think sometimes people can jump on like some of those things like mental health just because they want something to be like, oh, I'm struggling with this.
Or feminism, or
there's so many things that people want to be a part of and labels that they
fly
want
a
to
flag for.
Yeah, that's it. And I wonder if flat earthers are just part of that. Like this is what I'm going to talk about and believe in.
Maybe people don't ask enough questions these days.
No, absolutely, they don't. It's
in life, or like you were saying before about people who just think, I'll just get an education, I'll get a job, and then I'll die.
Yeah.
But there's no, what else could I do? Am I doing the right thing here?
And what's crazy with that is they stop real quick and they make assumptions. So, I see this a lot. Someone will say, oh, I want to go traveling. I was like, well, go traveling. Oh, no, I can't afford it. How much does it cost to go traveling? Oh, loads. I was like,
loads? That's a well-researched answer, isn't it?
Exactly. And it was like, I'm sure you could find cases of someone going traveling for like next to nothing. Like
if you research it,
yeah,
you can work while you're out there. Yeah. I did it.
Really? Where did you go?
To Thailand, Malaysia,
nice.
Singapore.
Yeah. When was that?
2003, 2004. Australia as well.
Nice.
It was good. Yeah, you saved up a certain amount of money and thought, right, well, I'll work. I don't know. You look for places where you can register, you get jobs. I got part-time jobs when I was in Sydney and various other places. Then other places you go fruit picking or whatever.
Now it's easier because you can take a laptop and there's Wi-Fi, so you then just sell something online. You take photos or you edit someone's work.
Yeah, I had someone who was they didn't have quite enough money, but they went traveling and then they were selling stuff at home while they were away and making money.
but people just say, oh no, that's not an option.
There's always a way. There's always a way. But it's like, why do you think they have that sort of defeat? It's like a defeatist attitude.
I heard, I can't remember the exact stats, but I think like between 0 and 7 or something like that, you hear the word no like 35,000 times and yes 5,000. So you hear the word no 7 times more than you hear the word yes.
That's quite a statistic.
So your brain stops looking for.
So your brain sort of takes that on board.
Yeah, it just starts being like, okay, that's a no, that's a no, that's a no, and you just believe this world. Like there's this horrible story, I don't know how true it is, about like elephants in circuses or in Southeast Asia or whatever, and they get the elephant, they put a massive chain around its leg and chain it up, and the elephant when it's a baby elephant, and it pulls and pulls away from the chain and realizes it can't break the chain. So then the owner will switch it with rope and the elephant grows up. And so tourists think the elephant is happy because it could easily break the rope if it wanted to. But the elephant's reality is that's unbreakable.
Yeah.
And it's never going to test it again. And
that's interesting.
We do that as we grow up. Like you might try and do something, when you're 25, but you don't realize.
We accept things.
Yeah. But you're getting experience points all the time and you're leveling up. You're getting stronger in so many different areas. Try again.
That's true. That's very true. So where did you, like, all the content that you're putting out at the moment, where's most of it coming from?
It's probably an element of neurolinguistic programming, which is really focusing on the language I use. And then it's just generated by kind of watching. But I do listen to a lot of podcasts. I read books as well, but obviously. But mainly it's just observation. And so like a really good example is of a prison people put themselves into is they'll say, I see them on like Facebook stories or whatever. They say, oh, I have to go to work today. No, you don't. You don't have to go to work. Can you please say, I choose to go to work today?
Yeah.
Because if you say, I have to go to work today, and your body gets heavy, you start to feel low, you're put upon.
You're talking yourself into it, aren't you?
Yeah. But you say, I choose to go to work today. because I want to earn this money to provide for my family or do whatever. Like choosing is so much more powerful.
That's true.
And it makes you stronger. And you don't have to go to work. There's consequences if you don't.
Yeah.
So, I get fired. Well, you won't get fired on day one. Like you call in sick, that's probably okay.
But what happens if you don't go to work and you do something amazing that day?
Right.
That could change your life.
Yeah. and then say, well, what if I lose my job? I said, what if you lose your job? What happens then? Oh, well, then I won't be able to afford my rent.
If you're on a minimum wage job, just get another minimum wage job.
Exactly, right? Or go to the Philippines where I think the daily wage is like £6 a week or £6 a day.
Jesus.
Find a way. You can earn more than that online somehow.
Yeah, there's always, with the advantage of the internet, surely that opens you up to more. I think people don't follow their passions as much as they should. Like maybe when they're younger, they just sort of give up on it and they don't think it's gone, and they never even think about trying to, what else could I do? Or could I do that again now that I'm older?
Yeah, exactly right. And we see that in the arts a lot because people give up too quick. And yet we see musicians who don't make it until 40, 50 sometimes. Yeah. We see actors who don't make it until 40, 50. It's like if you keep going, you'll win.
Yeah,
you just got to keep going.
And win for everyone is a different thing.
Yeah, totally.
Just to be happy to do it.
Yeah.
Like sometimes people are happy just doing a hobby.
See, that's a good point, because some people will stop doing their passion because they didn't get recognition. It's like, wait, hang on.
Yeah. Well, and comparing themselves to other people who are hugely successful, that's not a way to judge success.
And everyone started somewhere. Like when I kind of, have you heard of Gary Vaynerchuk? You follow him at all, Gary V?
I don't think so. Gary V, yeah. People, I've heard of him called that, yeah.
I came across him, as a media lecturer because he owns VaynerMedia, and he was huge on Snapchat. So he was like, "You got to go on Snapchat. You got to go on Snapchat." So that's how I started using Snapchat, getting confidence, talking and going live and sharing my story. But if you go back, you look at him now and it's slick. He's got like a media team around him. His stuff is amazing. So you can be intimidated and be like, "Well, I can't be like Gary V." But you go look on his first YouTube video, which is out there. It's called Wine Library, and it's like so bad, but that's great because it's
a reference point, isn't it?
It's a reference point. Like, he was there and he got better because he kept doing it for a decade.
You can't improve what you don't start.
Yes. So why don't people start?
You can only get better. Like if you were to start a band, say you play a gig in a pub and there's nobody there.
Yeah.
Every band you love did exactly that.
Yeah.
Even bands, obviously the bands from 40, 50 years ago, but even bands that are like current now, they all started not like to nobody, no fan base. So it's the same with podcasting. You don't have an audience when you start.
Totally.
So why do people keep going on about monetizing their podcasts straight away?
You're right.
That is the wrong reason to do it.
Yeah. No, I agree entirely. I'm in a couple of podcast kind of groups, and there's a lot of those questions like, when do you start monetizing?
They're either that or they're just pushing the latest episode.
Yeah.
That's all it seems to be.
I think that has been, it's a military term. My family's kind of quite military-like, and there's a term called permanent send, which is when someone's got their hand down on the radio and they're just, there's nothing coming in. And I think some people are like that with social media. It's just like, rah. Whereas it's a weird thing, but if you follow your passion and you try and do good in the world, that will end up making you money. That just as a side effect. But if you try and make money,
if that's your sole purpose, I think your chances are a lot slimmer, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
You've got to actually love it and it's the same with a band. You've got to have a passion for it to be prepared to like slog it out, because it's a long journey.
Oh, the arts are the worst. Like we've started saying this in interviews for the course. It's like you're going to be faced with basically the blank page. There is nothing scarier than the blank page, and even if you manage to get something down on it, it's not going to be what you thought it would be, and you're going to hate it, and yet you have to start over again with your next one.
And you need to be prepared to take criticism.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's art is always going to be someone who
you should even be criticizing yourself first and foremost. You should be your biggest critic, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. But then you go and look at your favorite film or your favorite book on Amazon, and there'll be a lot of negative reviews.
They're always. Some people just like to give negative. You go and look at them. They're like, you get some on Twitter or something like that.
Yeah.
You go and look at someone who's given a negative or a rant about something, and they're quite often their whole thing is just doing that.
I know, right?
Picking people apart or having digs at people, and it's like, have you not got anything better to do? What did you do before the internet? What did you do?
I really tried not to do that, and
that's why I don't look at any of that stuff anymore. It's just a waste of time.
Yeah, but there'll be people who have a podcast who will then be on social media being like, "Oh, I hate podcasts that do this. Like, we're a better podcast because we don't do that." And I'm like, "Can you just do
focus on yourself?"
Yeah. And I do tend to think that being good rises to the top these days.
Yeah, like it's consistency and all that. Yeah. Doing your research, being prepared, putting out good content.
Yeah,
and being consistent
and being nice.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
be nice. You seen the movie Roadhouse with like
Yeah.
Swayze? Like that's the whole point of that movie.
That's true. Yeah,
It's just be nice until I
Yeah.
tell you it's time to not be nice. It's such a simple lesson, and yet few people seem to be doing it.
So your book that was aimed at teenagers. What
Yeah.
are the main messages that book gives
Kind
out?
of everything that I'm talking about, which is the hero's journey. So
Right.
so
Is it different because it's for teenagers than if you were writing it for adults?
No, it's exactly the same for adults, really.
Right.
And if some people who reviewed it and read it were adults and said it really helped them.
Right.
And
That's
the
good.
reason I
That's
aimed
good.
it at teenagers it's a credibility thing. Like I was like, well, who am I to be writing a book? And I was like, well, I've got 10, 15 years of teaching teenagers, so that's who I am to write that book.
That's true. That made sense.
But it is kind of aimed at everyone. But it does the whole. It's basically around ways to manage like low-level mental health issues, I
Yeah.
guess. So it'll go into, well, if you're the hero of your journey, firstly you need to armor up. Like, what armor are you wearing? Like Batman puts on his armor for the quest.
Utility belt.
Yeah, exactly. And we can all do that. Like I wrote an article about this recently, that clothing can have enchantments on. Like this jacket I'm wearing has been complimented a few times. So this jacket has got like a +5 confidence spell on it. And whenever I put it on, I'm just like, yeah, I'm feeling it today. And you can
like that.
You can feel that way with like jewelry you've got, or it might be a gift that means something
Yeah.
to you, that maybe someone gave you a gift and you're like, it could be a photo of like your parents or your child, and all these like
Things can give you a boost.
yeah, all these like talismans. And it's like if you have to go do public speaking or driving test or an exam, dress in clothing that makes you feel like with an interview. Like I would usually say, try and wear like freshly laundered clothes.
Yeah.
Ideally, wear new clothes, because then it's just like boom. Okay.
It's a psychological thing, isn't it?
Exactly. Just helps you feel strong. And then it's identifying your allies, which you would do, your kind of Han Solos and Chewbacca's or whatever, your Hermione's. Yeah. And realizing that, you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with on the whole. And some of your friends are going to be incredibly toxic. I think some people call them frenemies. They're kind of your
that's
friends,
true. Yeah.
but they really like it when you fail.
The type of people that you should cut out of your life.
Yeah, but if that's family members, that can be.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
So,
Well, maybe I'll just distance yourself.
yeah, and certainly just, a lot of people, I have this with Twitter. People say, oh, I hate Twitter. It's really, really angry. I'm like, well, who are you following on Twitter?
But you're in control of your own
Exactly.
timeline. Same Facebook as well. If it's just full of bollocks that annoys you, just remove these people or turn their feed off so they don't show up in your...
Exactly.
You create your own experience.
Exactly right. And that's
So
true.
it's on you, really.
I love the way you say that, because that's true of your life. Like your thought
Yeah.
process is your timeline. If your thoughts are negative, change them. Now I know that's
Yeah.
a really flippant thing to say, but you can do it with meditation, mindfulness, or whatever anchors. So an anchor would be something that maybe you've got in your room or you carry with you. That's an anchor to a certain way of feeling. So I mean, it could even be silly. Like my ex-wife is going through cancer at the moment, and I'm sure she's still got her Wonder Woman keyring. So every time
Yeah.
she sees it, it's just like, yeah, Wonder Woman.
That's cool.
A little bit more strength.
I suppose younger people are a good target because you might prevent panic attacks, anxiety, mental illness.
Yeah.
Try and address it at a younger age so that it doesn't develop when they get older.
Yeah, I saw this statistic where it was like everyone who has a mental health issue in their adult life, or not everyone, a massive percentage, it manifested in their teenage years.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is called by ACEs, it's called. It's aggravated childhood experiences. But there's so many things that impact that. Like newborn babies, if they're not given enough love and cuddles and whatever in the first few years, the 2 parts of their brain don't develop correctly.
Wow.
And it's the thing that causes them to have empathy and emotional intelligence, basically.
Right.
So it kind of makes you a little bit more just easy to anger, a bit more primitive.
Yeah.
Like if you think of part of your brain as being human, part being a computer, part being like a monkey, it's the monkey part that's then dominant, because your ability to tame the more primitive side of your brain is limited. And you see this with people. The type of people who are like, oh, you're disrespecting me. It's like, oh, no one cares.
Or people getting offended by silly things.
But that's like a tribal monkey thing to do. Like you can see, if you ever watch like self-defense videos online, these type of people are the guys who'll take off their top and like walk up and down and be like, come on then.
The people who have no fighting skills whatsoever.
I do love that. When you see that and you think, wow, this guy must really be able to fight.
No, you just think, I don't. This guy's a fucking idiot. Drunk idiot.
Yeah.
All it would take was for someone who did know how to fight, just bang. gone.
And and there's so many videos out there.
Oh, there is a lot of that.
But they're fueled by negative emotion. It's
yeah,
Star
like
Wars,
childhood experiences and stuff.
Yeah.
I suppose. Yeah, and younger people these days have got a lot more to deal with, I think, than I feel I did
Yeah.
when I was a teenager. There was a lot less going on then.
Our worlds were amazing. It was really simple. You know, there were films. It was exciting just to get a film. Like we had limited choice. Like I loved film,
Which made it better, the experience better of like getting a film or a new album you had to go and physically buy in a shop.
Exactly right. And you go to the video store and be like, I really want this video, and it's like, oh, that one's out. Like, oh, I'll come back next week. Or they didn't have it. They'd say, oh, it's been deleted. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, can I get it? No, we don't stock that anymore. So there were movies that you just couldn't see ever.
Like someone who's 15, 16 now, all this that we're talking about, be like, what?
I know, right? And I do feel for them because they'll say, oh, I was bored at the weekend. I was like, how are you bored?
Yeah, that's one. I was never bored when I was a kid.
No.
Even in the summer holidays.
Which went on
got bored.
for like a decade.
Yeah.
It was just like the eternal summer. It was just
It
insane.
just went on forever, and you never got bored of things. Obviously, sometimes if you got 2 weeks of terrible weather, it did get a bit tedious. But like kids playing outside,
I know, right?
going knocking on each other's doors, are you coming out to play?
Oh, right, and that was
Is that as prominent these days as it used to be?
No, but
I feel like it isn't.
But also, if you wanted to talk to your friend, you had to call like their mum.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Hey, can I speak to Jack, please?
Oh, you have to arrange a time. I'm going to be in at this time, so call me.
Yeah. The disappointment, you'd knock on the door. Oh, he's out. It's like, oh, okay. I've walked half hour to get here. I'll walk back.
He's out. He's out, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, or he's lying and he's upstairs. He just doesn't want to see you. And he's like, no, we don't approve of you as a friend.
Payphones at the end of the street.
Right? I remember ordering pizza to payphones.
Yeah. I remember doing prank calls on them.
Oh, you're way cooler than I was. That's
Not really. But now if you see, mind you, most phone booths these days have got defibrillators in them. So
yeah, no, right?
But if you see someone using a payphone now, you're like, what? Why? That's a bit, I'm not sure about this.
Yeah. I hope they're spies.
What are the reasons why someone would not have a mobile phone or have access to one?
I don't know.
They can't be good reasons.
It's something I kind of want to use a payphone now.
Yeah, the old dial tone.
Tough, there isn't any.
Yeah, there's one. I did come across one, but it just takes card. It doesn't. There's no coin.
That's
because
true.
people just smash them and get the coins out.
What are
there you
people
go.
doing?
That's just a reflection of today's society. I don't know, but I as I was saying, I was consuming your content and I was enjoying the stuff that you're putting out. I was agreeing with it.
Nice, that's good.
I was had my headphones on. I was nodding my head, and my missus going, "What are you watching?" I was going, "This guy's brilliant."
Oh, nice. I do need to. That's kind of you to say. I feel like I need to be more consistent, but I feel like I need to. I'm not one of those people. Like if I was coaching someone on social media, it's like you'd have a social media schedule and a platform and different things that you're going to do, whereas I just get inspired.
You ever thought about doing a podcast?
Yes. The main thing is, and it would be called. What was it going to be called? It would be called. Something like
you might not want to say it because if someone might steal it.
Yeah. It was called,
Unless you're actually going to do it soon.
Yeah, probably not.
Unless you do it, say it, and then I'll force you to do it.
It would be. I like the idea of interviewing people from all different, kind of like what you're doing.
Yeah.
But
this is what this is sort of developed into.
Because we don't know what other people's lives are, and I just think like a digital nomad, someone who just travels around, the world, but working with their laptop. I just think that didn't exist. There's jobs being created now that have never existed before, and yet you'll have parents say to their kids, "Oh, you should be a lorry driver like your dad." It's like that's not going to last 40 years.
No,
that's disappearing. But
it's also not really that good a recommendation, really.
I know, right?
It's like
that's the dreams you had for your kid.
Sort of an inevitability kind of like you should do this just because that's what we've done. That's like not to get political, but people who just go with the same political party their whole life just because their dad did, their granddad did.
Exactly right.
They don't sort of evaluate all the parties and see who's saying what makes sense. Yeah. Even if your own party might disagree, they just go, "No, I'm voting Labour. I've always voted Labour."
I know, right? What kind of
logic
that
is cannot be good for us. That cannot be good.
I've always done that. It's like, I agree entirely. And the world is changing so fast. Because I'll talk about technology and say, in 10 years maybe we're going to have, who knows what it is. We're going to have self-driving cars for sure.
More automation for definite.
Lots more automation. We're going to have more like being a drone operator or a drone repairist is
big job.
a good thing to be looking at. But then people say, oh no, but we thought more stuff would be happening by now, and technology hasn't moved that fast. And their evidence is always the hoverboards. It's like
stuff that's really not logically possible.
Yeah, and I'm like, but you don't get it. Like 20 years ago, like when I was your age, we had no internet. Like there was just no. I remember getting my first email in 1999. And that was dial-up.
Oh, I got mine in '96.
So,
yeah, I know what you mean.
And now
we have moved on a lot.
And then
we continue to move on.
Yeah,
an incredible rate.
I got my first computer was a ZX Spectrum 16K, and then it went. And so when the consoles came out, the Master System, I was like, well, this is the greatest thing that has ever happened. Technology will never beat the Sega Master System. And yet now, you know, I haven't got it, but there's people doing like virtual reality Skyrim.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know you're born. Like,
I know.
Why are you even in college today?
Yeah, when you see some of the videos of people complaining about things, you just think, get a grip.
Yeah.
Like, those are the sort of younger people who've they've kind of been absorbed by the whole the culture of today.
Yeah.
They're in. They're plugged in 100%.
Yeah.
They're not. They're mainstream. Everything they get is mainstream. So they're not forming many independent thoughts. I don't think.
It's hard to find independent news even. It's hard to work out what's going on.
Yeah, like if you listen to like mainstream news, you kind of have to go, not sure about this.
Yeah, right.
And you look at, because if you've been online, you know all the other things that are going on in the world, and you go, why are they only talking about this? Why aren't they talking about this?
Yeah, totally.
Like what was the latest one about the BBC cutting the free TV licenses for over 75s? But did you see Piers Morgan this morning? No. He was just spent the whole morning berating the BBC. He goes, "Are the BBC talking about this morning? I don't think they are." And they weren't. I don't normally watch the BBC because I don't really have time. But I was just flicking through, going, "No, they still don't talk about it. No, they still don't talk about it." Like they go back to their bulletin, they go through all the top stories, then to the sport, then to the weather. No, they just completely skipped over it. And you look online, and they get so much backlash for it.
I know, right?
Their argument was, "Oh, it costs us $750 million a year to fund the free licenses for the over 75s, so we have to." The government of basically they're blaming the government.
Yeah, absolutely. It's atrocious.
It's an easy way out to blame the government these days.
I think they're ropey with the TV license anyway. Like there's so few people. There's fewer and fewer people watching the BBC. Full stop.
Everyone's on the internet now.
Yeah, and it's cheaper to have
Why do you need a TV license to watch broadband TV through your broadband, not through a TV aerial? I thought that was the crux of it.
They're saying you need a TV license just if you've got a TV.
It's not even plugged in, but you need a TV license.
Yeah, like you can be playing Xbox and I need a TV. I don't
understand.
I'm kind of much like Natalie and Brulia. I'm kind of torn on this because
hey!
I love. I don't like a lot of the stuff they put out, and I think that there's a lot of propaganda. But at the same time, some of those like David Attenborough documentaries,
Line of Duty,
could never be funded if it wasn't for.
That's true. And anything you watch on the BBC, no adverts.
Yeah, which is well, you said.
I'm not complaining because I'm okay to pay my TV license. That's fine. But I do get the argument for the over 75. And the ITV was going with pulling the heartstrings, getting the recent war veterans to call in saying, "Oh, I can't afford it." You know what I mean? Yeah. I kind of get it, but they've gone to the extreme there.
Yeah,
straight to the extreme.
1 minute you're thanking these people for your freedom, and then you're like, "But give us some money for a TV license."
Yeah,
I kind of get that argument, but I think I do see a world in where the BBC just loses their.
It's not the monolith it used to be.
Yeah,
it's not held in the same regard as it used to be either.
Not at all. And I do, like, as a parent, I've started to appreciate like CBeebies much more. Like I think that's genuinely like good educational TV. And it's good
there
safe.
is that. Yeah, I don't have kids, so I'm not in that loop.
Oh, man, it's.
I suppose if you have kids, you watch a lot of that kind of TV, and you sort of work out what's the good from the bad.
Yeah, and CBeebies is a pretty safe bet. There's some really, really good programs on that.
Because some of it was just like, what is this nonsense? Even like, is there anything being learned here?
Yeah, that is absolutely true.
Like the Teletubbies didn't even speak words.
Yeah,
just noises.
But somehow kids love it. And Night Garden they love. But there's some really weird. Baby Jake is another really weird one.
I don't know what that is.
It's good that you don't know.
Have you been back and watched kids TV that we used to watch?
Of course, regularly, because it was epic.
I sometimes go on the internet and go, what did I used to watch? Trapdoor.
Yeah.
Plastic things made out of plasticine.
Butt on the Moon, that was another classic.
But I loved it. There must be a thing on the internet where they show kids of now or our stuff from years ago. There's lots of those reaction
Yeah,
videos.
yeah.
I haven't seen one yet, but there must be out there. Where they go, "You used to watch this?" They rip it to bits. Surely.
Yeah, there's like because there's those shows where they play games as well, aren't they? So like pensioners play GTA and stuff like that.
yeah. Pensioners react to metal.
Yeah.
That's a brilliant one. That one. I love it.
But we were spoiled. We had Thundercats and Visionaries and He-Man.
Yeah, I
good. The
suppose,
80s were good.
Like the generation like before ours, there wasn't. It didn't seem like there was as much fun.
It would have been like Flower Pot Men.
No, but just in general,
Yeah.
not just TV. Just in general, it wasn't as fun
No,
and free.
not at all. It wasn't as kind
70s
of
maybe
crazy.
when it started to get a bit more like especially with the punk and all the hippie and then all the hippie stuff
Yeah,
in the
that'd
60s.
be Magic Roundabout, I guess.
Yeah. Stuff that was clearly thought
right.
of.
Totally.
But yeah, there's like the stuff that's out now. It's just all over the place. There's just no content in general.
No, and there's too much. So what do you choose?
Oversaturation, and I think that there's that in every media these days.
Yeah.
Music, TV. There's so many places to watch it. It's overwhelming.
Which is why it's really rare. Like, I haven't watched it. You mentioned like Line of Duty and there was
Oh, you haven't seen it?
Bodyguard. No,
I highly recommend it.
but Game of Thrones. Like, there's
I've
a
never
couple
seen Game of Thrones.
Oh wow. But there's a couple of shows that somehow do bring everyone together and everyone's
Yeah.
talking about.
Yep.
But it happens so rarely.
Yeah, it does.
Like I love Good Omens on Amazon Prime right now, but not many people
I've
have
not-
seen it.
No, I've not
It's
seen it. I've got Amazon Prime. I'll make a note of that.
Yeah, it's written by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett, and it's just a really
All right.
yeah. It's got Michael Sheen and David Tennant.
Ah,
That's good.
good combination.
You're really good.
So have you been doing some public speaking recently?
Not recently.
Did I see? Did you do some sort of business
Oh
conference?
no, I was at a like a networking thing. I can't always make them, but that one I could. And just
So what do you do? What did you do there?
I was just there eating their breakfast. It was great. When there was a guy giving a talk, can't remember his name, but he was.
Oh, so you there as a guest?
Yeah, and he was doing a talk on the future for business, and he was making a few comments that I tried to find evidence for, which I don't think are entirely true. But some things that are true is that the life expectancy is growing, and he was saying that the amount of people living past 100 is going up 400% per year, and he was saying that kids
That's
born
true.
now, there's a potential they'll live until they're 150. So then
Wow.
he was painting a world where if you get married in your 20s, you might have a century together.
Wow, that's incredible.
Right, and so what does that mean for your business? And we we've seen this change. Kind of when I was growing up, the expectation was you'll get a job and you'll do that until you die, whereas now it's like you can change actual careers every decade, and that's the norm now.
Yeah.
Like you can sidestep, go try, and I like that because going back to Skyrim, like in Skyrim, I don't start the game, join the companions, and do that for the whole game.
It's not a game I've played. Have you played it, Tech?
No.
You guys are missing out.
Well, I know it's one of the like huge popular games,
Sure.
but I've just not.
But at the same time, you can go be like a wizard. You can go join a thieves guild. You can be an assassin. You've got all these different roles, like jobs you can do.
Yeah.
And I think that there's more to life than like in a game. You'll rock up at a town and you'll talk to everyone to find out if they know anything interesting. But if I'm at a party, I'll sit in the corner and talk to one person. And it's like,
That's
why
true.
am I missing out on all these opportunities? Why am I like getting more out of a game than real life? Same with like, when I was playing, my wife would come in and be like, why are you heading up this mountain? I was like, I'm going to go see what's up there. And yeah, I haven't been like around my block where I live. It's like we explore virtually and we engage virtually with non-player characters more than we do in real life. And
That's true.
everyone's got like a fascinating story.
I don't think people are doing this
No.
as much or enough. I think we're going to be more disconnected these days
Yeah.
because we're all online. It's like the film Ready Player One.
Yes, it is.
It's life's becoming a bit like that, not just games.
And that's like people say, oh, I'm worrying about. Someone said to me the other day, oh, how would you feel if your daughter came home with a tattoo? I was like, you think she's going to come home with a tattoo? She's going to come home with a cybernetic enhancement of some kind. like this is you're
An
talking
extra arm.
yeah, like you're talking 15 years down the line. Like, she's going to pop in contact lenses and be like, hey, I'm just checking out for a while. Pop in contact lenses and just zone out.
Yeah.
And just be.
Oh, I'm
in a
just checking the weather.
virtual world. It's like, and I'm excited for that, but you've got to.
I'm excited, but I'm also a bit scared.
But I'm glad it's happening in my lifetime.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting times to be alive.
Yeah, like
there's so much going on.
If Skynet comes and there's like the end of the world, I'd hate to miss it.
I don't think that would ever happen. I don't think we would ever manufacture something that would Take over the world.
Have you heard the Google Assistant kind of book in the hairdresser appointment?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I've got one of those.
That's terrifying.
Is it?
Don't you think? Like,
No. That's it. ALXA. Set a timer for 30 minutes. Boom.
Yeah.
Or add something to the shopping list.
Oh, I love
then
that.
It's on my phone.
yeah.
Or add this to the to-do list.
But when it gets to like Tony Stark levels and like Jarvis,
That's all I use it for. So I haven't really experimented with it.
I've listened to one of the good things about her is she's and I'm calling her, that's so weird. But her is you'd find out more music. Like I've listened to so much more new music.
Do you use Spotify through it?
No, I've just got like Amazon Prime or whatever. So
okay.
I'm just like, hey Alexa, play some music. Alexa, play some relaxing music, and she'd be like, okay, here's some stuff.
Well, because have you used Spotify before?
Very briefly.
Because it has based on what you listen to regularly, it recommends other stuff.
Nice.
And it also recommends new releases based on your genre. It has a what's it called? A Discover Weekly, where it have 50 new songs of 50 new tracks of artists and bands that are similar to what you like. So sometimes it'll be bands you've forgotten about.
Yeah.
Bands that completely passed you by. Like, oh, have I not heard this band before?
Totally.
But you can link it to Alexa. So you'll just say, Alexa, play my weekly Discover playlist and all these new songs.
That's so good.
I like stuff like that. That's brilliant.
Yeah. You've got the world at your fingertips, right? You can do.
And they're very popular these days. Very popular. We get quite a lot of downloads on the podcast because they can play podcasts as well.
Yeah, totally. That's
a
so
new
good.
thing.
I'm pleased that's popular because sometimes I worry that people aren't because Alexa turns on my lights for me.
I haven't gone that far. I haven't gone that deep yet.
Yeah,
wow,
that's
that's.
Alexa, turn on the lights, and she does.
I like the idea of it.
There's some studies done that says that we like flawed robots because they're kind of more human, and so they did these studies where they put some grad students, whatever, with a robot and another with another set, and one was programmed to make a mistake, and
How human to do that.
Exactly. And they were like, okay, what do you think of the robot's intelligence? And they both came back with the same score, like, oh, really, really clever. And they're like, did you like it? And the robot that made the mistake, the people liked more. And
I could relate to it more, couldn't they?
Yeah, and
As a
you're
human.
less scared. And when Alexa misses out, I'm like, no, Alexa, come on, we've been through this.
The word is pronounced.
Yeah. Or she put like Celine Dion. It's like, Alexa.
Or sometimes if
discussed
you
this.
don't check your shopping list, she's put it in and you go, what the hell is this?
Totally.
What are these?
I've got a robot Hoover as well. So you press the button, it goes off, and it goes doo-doo. Then it doesn't go doo-doo. I was just quoting that thing
Typical
from Star Wars,
generic
but-
robot noises.
But if he gets stranded, he'll set off an alarm. He'll be like, beep, beep. I'm like, I'm coming for you, buddy. Don't
Help.
worry. Like, yeah, I love it.
I saw the other day one of those automated grass cutters.
Yes.
It's impressive. But I didn't stick around long enough to work because it was quite a big lawn. Where does the grass go? Because it's dead small. How does it?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it just leaves it
There wasn't any grass. It wasn't leaving grass behind it, and it wasn't very big. So I'm thinking, where does it go? It must fill up rather quickly. I was like, there's nowhere for it to go to like empty the grass.
Yeah, I don't know.
I like the idea of it though, but apparently they cost a lot of money, into the thousands.
Yeah, but that's labelling.
Yeah.
Saying, oh,
Yeah.
that's
But
a
it's
lot
new
of money.
technology. All new technology is expensive.
Yeah.
Like electric cars, still pretty much out of most people's price ranges.
Yeah, it feels like when I was a kid, like Master System games were £40.
Yeah, for something that would fit on a floppy disk.
Yeah, and now they're still £40. Like games,
Or more.
I find it weird.
Yeah.
I guess they. Yeah.
Because I suppose the industry's got used to that revenue, so they've kind of kept it.
Yeah.
No matter what and now, like they get distributed digitally.
Yeah.
You just click buy, you
hate
just
that.
download it to your device, no disc. So it should be cheaper.
Yes. And it's always more expensive. I don't get that. And
Fair enough if you buy the Super Deluxe Gold
yeah.
triple version, but
And there are. It's interesting. Have you seen that not John Wick, Keanu Reeves is in the new game called like Cyberpunk or something? Yeah.
2077.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
love that.
saw the media briefing. That looks pretty cool.
It's just, but that was at the E3. It's called.
Yeah,
isn't it? Is that
E3,
right? I love
yeah.
how fanatical people get, and what I also love is these poor guys who were like computer geeks who like programming in their bedrooms now have to get on stage and give a presentation.
Yeah, that was never a thing before.
No, right?
The
It's like-
socially awkward nerds.
right, exactly. So the communication, like as you're saying, this is the real talent. Like this is what you're going to need in the future.
They're going to other nerds. We can get girls now.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, bless them. Yeah.
But yeah, that's like things like that. People like that would never have been a fan thing. That was used to just be
No.
industry insiders or the press or like MMA, UFC. Thousands of people just turn up to the weigh-in.
Yeah. Totally.
Like sold out weigh-in tonight. It's like,
It's so. Yeah, Yeah, but I think it's that sense of belonging still.
Well, it's also the access, the media, the availability that technology has afforded us to get these extra things that you couldn't get have just become standard now.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We're spoiled.
I can see that.
Rightly
I'm
so.
surprised that's not like pay-per-view now. Pay-per-view weigh-in.
Yeah. Yeah. People would pay for it.
They would.
There's
They
people
absolutely would.
who watch. There's lots of kids who watch other kids playing with toys on YouTube channels.
I watch people watching music, reacting to music videos.
Oh wow!
It's a big thing.
Is it?
I have a few channels that I subscribe to, and they get hundreds, sometimes millions of views. So they've never heard, like, for me it's like when they react to metal, like the first time they've heard Megadeth or Metallica, some of my favorite bands.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I wish I could experience it again for the first time.
That's a
so you
really
kind of like reliving that. You're like loving it when they love it. You're like, oh, this is brilliant, because they get so. The reactions are just, I don't know. Sometimes it makes your hair stand on. You go, if I could wipe my, like Men in Black, wipe my memory and just experience that again. I wonder if I would I like it as much?
Oh man, you're so lovely, because I would immediately thinking that they would hate it, but you're right. It's like when you meet someone who hasn't seen your favorite film, and you're like,
sit down, watch this,
and you're like, oh my god, you're so lucky. I wish I could be you right now. Or when you've watched your favorite film and then you're gutted because it's the first time, and you think, I'm never going to see this movie again for the first time.
Yeah, that's true. It seems very rare these days that something comes along that does blow you away the first time, especially music. I would say a lot of my favorite things recently have been like slow burners.
Yeah.
Nothing's completely like, oh my god, I can't. Other than like Marmosettes, maybe that's probably the last band that blew me away instantly.
It tends to be older stuff. Like Alexa recently played, is it Jeff Buckley's version of
yeah.
Hallelujah? And I just kind of I just stopped what I was doing. I was like,
cover versions. That's
what?
another huge genre. Different people's interpretations of something from way back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
and
sometimes it's you'll go to the original and go, I don't like the original, but I really like this version.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or vice versa sometimes.
Yeah. It tends to have to be, for music, I don't know, it feels like it has to be emotional.
We shouldn't be that amazed at people watching other people, because we played The Sims, so.
I know, right?
That was like one of the biggest games ever.
Yeah.
Basically. Sometimes you like created a guy who does exactly what you do, goes to work.
Yeah, I know.
Comes
home. Oh, there's a leak, I've got to hire a plumber.
And then you've got the nasty people who, put them in pools without a ladder or in cupboards without doors. So what are you doing? I'm torturing.
Always going to get that. Always.
Trying to create drama. That's one of the issues that we have, is we're programmed from like soap operas and stuff to think we need drama in your life. So you have your Sims characters have affairs.
Yeah. Why does it have to be that kind of drama?
Yeah.
I know what you mean. It's like we've kind of become programmed that way, I guess.
Yeah. And you want a story because we're storytellers. We're natural storytellers. So.
Would we watch it otherwise, though?
I don't watch soap operas. So.
No, well, I do watch Coronation Street.
Is it for the drama?
No, it's for the comedy. I find it is quite funny. The writing's.
Okay.
I find myself laughing quite often. Like I tried EastEnders years ago. Far too serious. Takes itself far too seriously. It's like, no, it's not for me.
I tend to try and watch or read stuff that is going to program me to be the type of person that I want to be at that point.
Yeah, I do a lot of that as well. But sometimes I just like to watch just anything. You know what I mean? Just like mindless stuff. You need a bit of variety, bit of balance.
So that's cool.
Everything in moderation, including moderation.
Yeah. Sure. I started reading Jack Reacher recently. Have you come across those books?
I know the books, but no, I've not. No.
And that was because I've got too much stuff and I want to get rid of it. And Jack Reacher's got like one outfit. And I'd read all these articles that said like rich people or successful people wear the same thing every day. And it's this whole theory that you get decision fatigue.
Oh, yeah.
You can't be wasting your
I've
time
heard that,
deciding what to wear in the morning.
Not necessarily the same thing, but they have the same outfit for every day.
Yeah.
So like, it's because they become identifiable,
Yeah, that's
recognizable,
branding as well,
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'm going to do that. I'm going to get rid of everything. But you've got to
get rid of everything.
Yeah. Because it's is it Marie Kondo? Like, does this bring you joy? No.
Yeah.
Just getting rid of stuff.
We keep stuff. We hoard stuff. Like when I moved house last year, it's like stuff that was in the loft. I've had this for 9 years, and I didn't even know this was here. I've not used this. It's going.
Yeah.
I had to be ruthless. A complete clear out.
Yeah.
And I've kind of tried to keep that. Like, it's like, I could throw it out, but yes, I'm throwing it out.
You're an admirable person. That's good. That's how we should be. I like the idea of having like a bug out bag, like a bag that's just packed, so I could just be like, if I had to leave, it shouldn't notice. I grab this bag and I go. Like there's a flood coming or whatever, and I just think I just need that one bag. It's got everything I need.
That's interesting. Yeah, ready for every occasion.
And I love the idea of being able to walk out your like house or apartment and have no attachment. It's just like, okay, I'm going on to a new adventure now.
Yeah.
Like,
have you tried times without your phone, social media?
Yeah, mainly 'cause, like sometimes for mental health reasons, I just be like, okay, I'm gonna switch it off. But yeah, I'm not good at that. I do like feeling connected in that way.
Well, obviously, you sometimes need it for work stuff
Yeah.
or social media stuff. If that's what you do, it's a bit more
Yeah.
difficult. But yeah, I try to take. If I go home, I'll sort of go and do what I need to do on it. So
Yeah.
sharing stuff, writing stuff, researching guests, whatever. Then I'll put my phone down. I'll shut the computer down, and I'll go and do something else.
That's good.
And then I'll come back to it later.
Yeah.
There's sometimes if you do something, especially if you putting out stuff,
Yeah.
there's always that tempting to just, is anyone?
Oh yeah, totally.
But I've stopped doing that now.
I try and stop it if I'm with my daughter. I'm not great at it because sometimes she does stuff that's boring. I'm just like, I'm just gonna check.
Sometimes
my phone.
you need to do mundane stuff.
Oh, it's like Peppa Pig, and I'm like, I can't.
Not again.
No.
Not again.
She's such a bad influence.
That is a child thing to the same thing over and over.
Yeah,
again. Again.
Absolutely, same song over and over again, same TV
story.
episode, same story. Yep, same joke.
Yeah.
It can be.
We do have a little bit that when we get older. Like you will, like your favorite comedian, you'll watch his stuff or her stuff a lot of times.
Who's your favorite comedian?
Lee Evans.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
That's kind of.
And Michael McIntyre. And
Oh,
Eddie
wow.
Izzard.
Yeah.
Jason Manford.
Okay, that's good.
Kevin Bridges. They're all my favourites.
Yeah, Kevin Bridges. He's the kind of. Is he the Australian kind of
Scottish.
Scottish? Oh yeah, but yeah, kind of low voice.
Yeah.
Can be quite savage.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good.
I like all them. But yeah, Lee Evans was just part of it was just his physical.
Yeah,
Sometimes he didn't even say any words. He's just on the floor laughing,
Yeah.
which is accidentally how he got into comedy. He was in a talent competition. He was supposed to be playing the piano, but he fell onto the stage and everyone found it hilarious. So he just sort of played on it, and then he realised he could make people laugh without
That's so
doing
cool.
much.
I do like that when you see comedians' early stuff and you realise that they haven't quite got their hook or their brand. And
It's
then
good
they
that you
kind of-
can see that because it gives people like everyone started down here.
Yeah.
When people start something, they compare to people already at the top.
Exactly.
And that doesn't make sense. Why would you do that?
It's James Acaster. We'd watch it on like TV or something. And it was really, really funny. And then we were Googling, like YouTubing it for someone to be like, hey, watch him. But it wasn't anywhere near as good. And like the delivery was wrong. His voice was
Yeah.
different.
You got to start somewhere.
It's the same with TED Talks. Do you ever watch TED Talks?
Yeah.
Like there's a guy called Sean Aker, I think he is, and he does this amazing like high energy talk on happiness. And then I found him on YouTube doing pretty much the same talk but less polished. I was like, you've been doing this. Like people talk about designing like a keynote speech or whatever, and you just get good at it.
It's like comedians.
Yeah.
They do warm-up tours where they're trying things. Sometimes they've even got notes.
Yeah.
They'll say, that didn't work. Make a note, scroll that out.
Totally.
Or they'll make note of what they added. Like someone just came to them off the cuff. Oh, I'll make a note, I'll remember that.
Yeah.
Or they're recording it and they go back and remember it.
There's a bit with Louis C.K. and he was like, and there's this annoying kid, and I can't tell you his name, but we'll just call him, I don't know, Jazandipus. It's like, that's been workshopped. Like you make it look like you're coming up with that on the spot, but I get what you're doing.
Then you can apply that to life.
Yeah.
Just learning as you go. But make sure that you are learning, asking questions, not just sort of head down, this is what I'm doing, so I'll just carry on doing it.
And as you said earlier, like, lean into the criticism.
Yeah.
It's people are allowed to say, no, that didn't work for me.
Yeah, which is fine. You're always going to get it.
Yeah.
Like, why would you think you're going to do anything that didn't have any criticism?
Yeah.
why are you surprised by it?
Totally. I used to worry about that a lot, about, if I say the wrong thing on social media, people are going to unfollow me. And now
Yeah.
like,
But isn't it funny that they're happy to accept the accolades,
Yeah.
the compliments, but they shun the criticism
Yeah.
and they worry about it. But you shouldn't. Didn't you expect you're going to get both?
yeah, totally.
Why would you think otherwise?
And it's a good thing because these people are your tribe. You want to.
Sometimes they're right as well.
Yeah.
You have to be, I don't mind criticism as long as it's accurate.
Yeah, I love that. One of my ex-wife is she's really intelligent. She's an amazing debater. And one time she just won the argument, and I was like, actually, you're right. I agree
Women
with
always
you.
win the argument, don't they?
And I was like, actually, you're right. I agree with you. And she was like, and another thing. I said, no, it's
You've won.
She's like, but I've got more points. I was like, no, but I agree. I love, and that's again, it's another superpower thing to be able to change your mind when given new data.
Yeah.
Like so many people are unwilling to
That's
do
what I was
that.
going back to about politics and voting for the same party. So what if a different party hasn't changed it, comes out with policies that you agree more than the party you've been voting for?
Yeah, yeah.
Change your mind.
Yeah.
What's wrong with it?
Because so your life is going to change. What's important to you is going to change.
If you want change, that's part of it. Why are you just doing the same thing? If you're advocating change, but you're not doing anything, you're not doing it yourself.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that these days.
It does worry me a bit. But all you can do is just put out positivity.
Which is what you're doing.
Yeah, trying to.
Like you put one out recently about, was it just do it sort of thing?
Yeah,
if you want to do something, just do it.
Yeah.
Just
yeah, and because again, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? Is
people are scared of that. And
someone might unfollow you. So, but you've got to drive away the people who don't get you. You don't want those people in your life. They're not your ideal clients.
Not everybody is going to get you. That's part of it.
Yeah.
If you keep doing it, you will connect with people who do get what you're doing.
Like, it's a silly thing, but I'm not on Tinder at the moment, but I know people who are.
Hey.
And I was just like, I was like, if you're into Harry Potter, put a Harry Potter house on it. They're like, oh, but I was like, the only people who's going to be attracted to that are people who are into Harry Potter. Do you want to go out with someone who's into Harry Potter? Like, yeah, exactly. Like, just everyone. There's another. Like, the dating world is another place where people try and craft like the perfect image.
Oh, it's not even it's not them.
No.
It's a false image. It's like most people online these days.
Yeah. It's like, just be you. And just being you.
Because if you don't, you're going to have this thing where you meet them in real life. Then what are you going to do then?
Exactly.
And people online build this persona, and they've then developed this issue where they've got to keep. It's a pressure they've put on themselves. They've got to keep it up.
Yeah.
But why don't you just? It's not easy. It's a lot easier to just be yourself.
Exactly.
Otherwise, start off just being yourself.
Yeah. But I think people don't always know who they are. I think that you've had white noise through your teen years. You've got your parents' opinion, you've got your media's opinion, you've got your friends' opinion. And so I'm a big believer in doing like personality tests. And there's not a lot of science behind Myers.
What is a personality test?
So there's one called Myers-Briggs that's really popular, particularly in America. And you get like it's the ones where you see it's like INFPT, and they kind of break you down into a different personality type. And it's like, okay, these people might be good writers, or you like, speaking in public. Myers-Briggs hasn't got a lot of science behind it, but there's other ones. There's one called the Big Five or DISC and whatever. But they're a good starting point. Even doing the Harry Potter house, like it'll come back and say, oh, you're cunning and shrewd and whatever. And you get to be like, am I cunning and shrewd? Like, you get to have a thought about yourself and reflect.
Yeah.
Or you can do something which is fun, is you can just go on Facebook and do a survey and be like, describe me in 3 words. And then just we'll make it anonymous and let it come back, and you can be like, wow. Because a lot of time we think we're better or worse than we actually are, and it's a good way of getting some data.
That's true. Well, the other way to find out about yourself is to just do some stuff.
Yeah.
Throw yourself into things.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll find out. I love that feeling of like, ooh, and I've had these.
Exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. And you can, and even where your fear is, but be honest. So if you say, well, why don't I want to do that? And they're like, oh, I'm scared. Oh, wow. What a great
thinking it's a really terrible thing.
Yeah, but exactly. It's like, oh, I'm scared. Okay, why am I scared? And then you get to...
Because you can use that fear to your advantage.
Yeah.
Because it can motivate you.
And it's self-awareness. It's just, what does scare you?
I remember the first time, I don't know if I've ever said this, the first time we ever had a guest who I didn't know. I was really nervous.
Yeah.
I've never met this person before. I don't know them.
Totally.
Until that point, I'd always just invited people that I knew.
Yeah.
Because that's where I started. Just got to start somewhere. But then that I've had to learn sort of just to be comfortable. A complete stranger, but I kind of know a little bit about them, so we'll just start with that.
Yeah, totally.
And then go with it and go from there.
There's a really good... Do you know Adam Alder? You know that guy who was in MASH?
I do know MASH. Which character?
I think it was Hawkeye.
Oh yes, the one who used to cross-dress and he
No, that was the guy from Cannibal One. What was his name? I don't know.
Which character did you say? Hawkeye.
Hawkeye, yeah. He's the main character. I'm sure he didn't cross-dress.
Yes, I know what you mean. I do you mean.
I almost remembered the name of the other guy. Because he wanted to get out.
He wanted to get out, so he pretended he was like mental.
Yeah. But knowing that you're mental would make you sane, so he could never kind of...
Hawkeye, yes. I know what you mean.
But so Adam Alder's like... I don't know what he is now, like 78 or whatever. And he was... I saw him do a podcast.
Oh, Alan Alder.
Alan, yeah, what was I?
Adam. Adam.
Alan Alder.
Alan Alder, yeah. He's been in some quite big films, yeah.
But he was saying he doesn't like it when people come in with a list of questions. He's like, because how are you going to respond to what I'm saying? And he's like, you should have like maybe 1 or 2 questions to get going, and then the conversation.
Then have a conversation.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, I see it all the time. They ask a question and then they're not really paying attention.
Exactly.
As soon as they're finished, they just move on to the next question.
Yeah.
Who wants to listen to that?
Right. I saw the worst case I saw was on RuPaul's Drag Race, and they were kind of faking like interview because they were developing their skills. And this person asked a question, and then the woman gave a story that basically involved the death of her daughter or something, and the guy was so obsessed with the next question that it was like, oh yeah, brilliant.
Yeah,
it's just like,
I've saw one of them years ago on one of those TV marathons, you know, where they're trying to get people to donate in, and
yeah.
we've done a 50-mile run to raise money. Oh, great! And people are ringing in the studio. There was one, she was just interviewed. Clearly had like a producer in her ear the whole time. She's going, yeah, well, my dad died of cancer, and then I lost my leg, and then she's going, that's great. Back to the studio.
Wow, no way. But these are, I think, the class is like soft skills, and these are the things that are more important, like empathy, active listening. Like people go on about emotional intelligence and active listening, and it's stuff we kind of, I feel like we're programmed with from birth. Like
these are basic skills.
It's a basic skill.
Yeah.
Just to have a human interaction, and yet now these are what makes you really, really employable.
It is. It is. Yeah. But I don't think that, like, younger people now, there'll be a lot less of this in person. It's all, their life is completely in a device, online, in a game.
Yeah.
Do you think social skills will go down?
I think they are going down. Not with everyone, but I'm definitely seeing like a deterioration, and it's more of a fear. I remember when I was younger, because I haven't always had confidence, and at one point I read the book The Game. Have you ever come across that? So,
I'm aware of it, but I've not read it.
Yeah, The Game is it's a novel about a journalist who embeds himself with pickup artists and pickup artist community, and it's a lot of where
what's pickup artists?
Pickup artists, like just how to pick up women.
Right, got it. Yeah.
But for really with no connection.
People who lack confidence, sort of thing.
Yeah, so it's a way to, and that's where the phrase like negging comes from, where you put someone down so their self-esteem drops, so you might have a chance. It's pretty gross. But there was a follow-up book called The Rules of the Game, and it was tasked on how to be more confident. And one of them I still suggest today is, okay, next time you're at the supermarket or in a queue to the bus or whatever, just start a conversation with someone. Just start a conversation, and they don't have to talk back. Like, your task is to start the conversation. If it ends 2 seconds later, that's fine. But to be able to say, oh, you've been waiting long, or oh, weather's horrible today. Like, do you know how much enjoyment it can give to somebody else for you to talk about the weather with them? You might be the only human being they've spoken to on that day. Yeah. And it's a nice, safe way to talk. And you never know what can happen. Like, these people can... You just never know when you're going to bump into them, or it's good karma anyway, or I have this quest thing where I just want to make 1 million people a little bit happier. And that's so easy to do, because if you're nice to one person, there's a chance they'll go and be nice to another person. Yep. And then they could be nice. And so I think what I would suggest, teenagers or people who are lacking confidence to do is just start a conversation.
Yeah. I think there's not enough of it goes on. But I think that's probably what they struggle with, to start a conversation. You meet people who are a bit socially awkward. They don't speak until spoken. Yeah. They very rarely come out with anything.
And I have days like that.
Yeah, lots of things can contribute to that, I suppose.
Yeah. But not when hopefully when I'm not in public. I make more effort. And I have to, actually, because if you've got a cute dog or you've got a cute kid, people are going to be talking to you.
Yeah, that's true.
My daughter wears bunny ears, so it's like everyone. So, oh, who's this? Oh, hasn't she got cute bunny ears? I'm like, oh, okay. So
yeah, I've got 2 dogs, and every time we go out,
what kind of dogs have you got?
Got a flat coat retriever who's just turned 1, and a Springer Spaniel, English Springer Spaniel.
Wow.
So, but yeah, every time we go somewhere, you always get attention.
Yeah, absolutely. I always imagine that's the ideal way to kind of meet women, because it's just like...
That's the age-old thing, isn't it? Let's get a puppy and go out.
Yeah, because it's a joke on Tinder, isn't it? It's like all these men holding up their dog.
Look at my puppy.
Yeah, exactly. People just like, I want to meet him. He's got a dog. It's so weird. I don't know. I always, whenever I was married for a while, and if I ever think of someone who was like a threat to the relationship, I always say, if there's ever a guy who owns like a penguin orphanage, like my wife's going home with that guy. Like, yeah, you got a baby penguin orphanage. I need to see that. Like, anything like that.
But going back to the young people and education as well is another thing that they don't seem to teach the right sort of things at school. It seems.
Oh, I don't think they even did when we were there. But
No, it's not. It's not. It was always the same.
Like, because we used to joke, they'd be like, oh, you've got to learn maths. You're not always going to have a calculator with you. Yes, we absolutely. I don't even need it. I can
You're
now
never ever going to be under exam conditions in your job unless you're actually doing the qualification. Fair enough, but to actually do your job, that doesn't relate at all.
No, exactly. And now we've got Alexa and Siri.
You don't need to have a good memory.
Alexa, what's 4 times 37?
You don't need to have a good memory at all. You can
absolutely.
look things up at any time, especially now with the internet. Anything up you want. So.
Yeah. And if you genuinely have to have a good memory, how about you teach how to get a good memory? Like those like card tricks and stuff.
That's a good
like, because there's people who can remember like the order of cards and stuff. Like
Yeah.
That. And,
But like nothing like interest rates, bank loans,
Oh,
how to change a tire,
dude, that's exactly
basic car
right.
maintenance, stuff that you'll actually use. You know you're going to use at some point in your life.
And I think the parents don't talk about their finances enough. Like I'll say to my students, go home to your parents and ask them what wage they're on, and ask them, what that means, how much money they have left over, how much is the council tax, the TV license, water.
No, nothing like nothing like that when I left school.
Because how are they knowing what subjects they need to get in terms of what job they're going to have? They need to know how much that's going to pay.
Yeah, and if we want them to be these high-powered jobs, surely basic stuff like that should be taught.
Yeah.
At the bottom end.
Exactly.
It doesn't make any sense.
Politics, they're not talking about politics.
I always wondered who decides and how do they decide what they teach or what they don't teach. Like history.
Yeah,
How can you decide?
Yeah.
And like because obviously 20 years ago since I was at school, do they change it slightly to we go from here to here, but we've gone forward 10 years, so history's going to move forward 10 years with that we teach.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think that surely 9/11 is like history. Like you would think that's something that's
Yes.
being taught, but there's still. I teach teenagers who don't know what 9/11 is.
Yeah.
But some of them weren't born then.
Yeah.
It's like
You don't remember it, do you?
Well, I don't remember it happening,
Yeah.
but I was alive when it
Yeah,
happened.
yeah.
I just was too young to
Take it
understand
in.
the consequences.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I only vaguely remember like the Berlin Wall coming down, 91.
oh yeah,
So I was like
I remember
10.
that.
So I sort of could take that in. But I didn't really get the significance of it.
No.
I was like, oh, some people are bringing a big wall down.
Yeah. Why is there a wall? It's like, yeah, exactly. Didn't really understand
History as
that.
well. History was your teacher is like the key component. I had a
Yes.
really boring history teacher,
Absolutely right.
so I thought history was really boring.
Yeah.
And now I'm subscribed to a few history podcasts
Yes.
that are so interesting,
Yeah.
and you can pick which times or subjects of history, and they tell it in a really exciting way. If my history teacher taught like this,
Yeah.
I would know a lot more now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
A lot of them were just the syllabus. This is this. They're just verbatim, just reading out the syllabus. Boring. Boring.
And I don't get how you can make, because history is the ultimate drama. Like
They
this-
should pick teachers. He's passionate about that. He should teach
Yes.
that.
What they should do is make it so that the education secretary or whatever in the government was a teacher, and like
Yes.
the person in
That
charge
makes
of
total
like, the
sense.
military was in the war, and
Yeah.
like you should, if you're
UFC referees and judges should have been fighters at some point.
yeah,
Things like that.
Yeah.
It makes sense. That's like that's like common sense to me.
yeah.
But why isn't that?
But they just get moved around departments. It's like, well, how can you be like?
What did you start off? I used to be PE. Now I do history. Okay.
That's one of my bugbears with media, when you get English teachers teaching media. I'm just like, and I do feel bad for them because they didn't sign up for that. And
Yeah, that's true. They're
Oh,
doing what they've got to do.
media's like just shut on as a subject. Everyone thinks it's soft. Here's another issue with all of this: is we're like goldfish in water, but the water is media. We're surrounded by media from the moment we're born, and we're indoctrinated and manipulated by it. And yet, media isn't even taught in some schools. Like that should go back to primary school.
Yeah, it's like something you can maybe choose when you get a bit older.
yeah.
But at the basic level, no.
So even if it was just primary school, like, okay, this is an image, this is a fake image, like this is
Yeah.
this is manipulated. It's
Yeah.
like, and it should be compulsory in secondary schools. But I don't want to get conspiracy theory on it, but I feel like if more people studied media, then they would be less influenced by it, and you
That's
would
true.
have more.
Yeah. That also makes sense.
But then there's other people, like yourself, who become media literate on their own.
Yeah, autodidactic.
Yes.
Because you want to learn,
Yeah.
so you keep learning.
That's the other thing, that sometimes school kills the passion for learning, and that hasn't happened.
That's
with
what
you.
happened to me in history. Didn't want anything to do with history. Thought it was the worst subject ever.
What's your favourite thing that you've kind of learned recently, or subject that you've kind of come across?
Probably just the world of podcasting
Oh, yeah,
as a medium. The whole like a revelation of like opening my mind. Like before I did it, I was obviously a podcast listener and like listening to some fascinating conversations and thinking, I don't have anywhere near these kind of conversations with anyone anymore. I think I used to. Like me and my friends would, when we first started going to the pub, we'd just sit around drinking and talking. We don't do that anymore. Obviously, life sometimes gets in the way. You have kids, mortgages, house, but we could still all make time to do that. And I just like it just expanded my mind. I thought, especially things like when I discovered the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah,
he started. That's kind of the model we've taken here.
Yeah, totally.
Talking to various different people. But I like that. I like not being afraid to talk to someone who I don't like scientists who you know nothing about, but I want to learn. So
and because he's also like yourself, he's really interested. So he'll challenge his guests. And he'll be like, well, that doesn't sound right to me. And then he's got to back it up. Yeah. But he'll like challenge.
I love stuff like that. I used to like debating at school and stuff like that.
Another thing we don't do enough at school is just debating.
It's a skill.
Yeah.
It's it's a vital skill, I suppose. Totally. Communication.
And it's great because you also learn so much information. Like, do you like the idea of going on to do like speaking gigs or speaking in public?
Not really. No, it's not my. I like talk. This is about all I'd want to do. If this influences people, then it's out there, and I'm happy for that to happen. But I don't think I would want to go and speak myself.
Okay.
Just like as a musician, I wouldn't want to be a solo artist. I'd always want to be in a band.
Really? Are you in a band now still?
No, not now. But I wouldn't have wanted to do it. My intention was never to do it as a solo artist. I just thought kind of a bit boring and a bit more of a laugh with a gang of you.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
And the writing songs together, playing live together. More energy on stage.
It's hard to do anything alone.
Yeah, that's kind of the boat you're in now, isn't it? You're alone,
and it's hard. And I've got people online who like support me and are doing similar things. And so, but then you can get you start to assume that your knowledge base isn't worthwhile because everyone you know knows it. But I think it's the same with podcasts. Like most people don't listen to podcasts, and a lot of people don't know that there's a podcast icon on their phone.
It's growing. Yeah.
Same with Kindle. I'd be like, you can get my book on Kindle. It's like only 99p. I don't have a Kindle. I was like, there's a Kindle app.
Yeah, on every device. Yeah. I sometimes use the Kindle, but I do use the app. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So when did your book come out?
Oh man, that was my 40th birthday.
Right. So not that long ago.
2 years ago, 2 and a bit. Yeah.
How long in the making was it?
I made it not many. It was a couple of months.
Oh right.
I'd researched.
You had most of the content ready to go.
In my head, yeah. I started writing articles. I'd followed this guy called Kevin Cruz on Snapchat, who's like a...
Is that your first book?
Yeah. I've contributed to another, and I'm going to write another one. But I did it... Yeah, I've got others that I want to do. But yeah, if you didn't set a date, like a key date, like my 40th birthday, I would still be fiddling with that book now. I'd be like George Lucas and Star Wars.
Yeah.
And there's this, there's like theories like the 80... actually, I don't know what the rule is, 80%, but you got to get, when it's art, get it 80% there and just get it out there. Like your most viable product. Like
it's difficult to know when something's done.
Yeah.
In some media.
And you taking a piece of art from like 80% done to 100%, no one else is going to notice. And it's going to take you.
You don't know. You don't know when it's done.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can go too far and then it starts going downhill.
Yeah,
because there's like a point where now you've gone over the hill. It's
totally.
down.
And I read it back and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do like a second edition. I can flesh this out. Those are days because I've learned way more since then. Yeah. So it's a little bit naive in parts, but
at some point you've just got to get the thing out because then you've got a frame of reference. You've got something behind it that you can go forward from.
But more so than that, you then realize like your view of the universe changes because it's like you can be told that there's no barrier between you writing a book. Like literally to write a book, because you're all writers, we write Facebook posts and cards and letters and essays. You just write a book in Word, you upload it to Amazon, it says, this is what it's going to look like on Kindle. Is that okay? You're like, yeah, that's fine. Hit publish. You're a published author.
Yeah.
There's no, we still think there's like threshold guardians, and there's not. And there's pros, like you can say, there's pros and cons with self-published and going the traditional like publisher route. But self-published means you have absolute control and you can get it out when you want.
Yeah.
But it means you've got to do your own marketing, which is really, really time-consuming. But
it is.
But I just tend to think if people are supposed to read it, they will come across it or whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas my friend, the guy who got me into this, has just written a book, and he's written self-published and published. His last book was with a publisher, but his publisher was taken over by another one, so it ended up putting the release date back by 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah,
wow.
Exactly. And it was put out by I'm sure it was 2 years, and then they chose a title he hated. And
See, that terrifies me. They chose a title.
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't be doing with that.
And they chose the cover, and he didn't like the cover.
Oh.
So it depends. And so for me, I'm like, okay, I've
As
self-published.
an artist of any type, that's sacrilege.
And then he's got to go and talk about this book on podcasts and stuff to promote it. And he wrote it 2 years ago.
And it's not presented in the way he wants it.
No.
That's like someone changing your song that you wrote and changing the lyrics, which you've got to sing.
Yeah. And you get
scary.
you get a little bit used to it, because I write articles as well, and if you write an article and publish it, depends where you write for, but the editors might change it a little bit or change the headline. But, I tend to think they know better about headlines.
Well, that's the other thing I like about podcasting. There's no one telling us. There's no executives going,
No.
I think you should maybe change that, or maybe we should talk about this, or maybe we should not talk about that. Maybe you should fuck off.
Have you seen Wayne's World? Is that
Yeah.
right? Because I would love to see what would happen if you got a sponsor.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Well, they would suddenly start product placement.
Yeah, exactly. Just give me a minute while I drink this, like Nescafe coffee.
Coca-Cola.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Classic film. Why do you think people don't ask enough questions, going back to an earlier point? Because I think they're afraid of being seen as
Seems stupid. Right?
But usually the most intelligent people are the ones who ask the most questions.
Absolutely right. And it's
Especially from a younger age.
someone else was saying, and being less scared of failure.
Yeah.
Like
Well, there's a lot more to be learned in failure, I think, than anything else.
I think it was the founder of IBM said, if you want to be successful, double your rate of failure. And that's, if you can,
Profound.
that's a scary thing to then do, but that's part of it.
But if you talk to most successful people, their history is littered with failure.
Yeah. And they just didn't give up.
They didn't give up.
There's a guy who gave
yeah.
a TED talk, and I think it was the guy who, there was a thing called river blindness in like one of the African countries, and it was entirely preventable. And he was like, I'm going to find a way to stop this, because this is insane. It was blinding kids. And he's like, so I came up with a solution, and he gets a round of applause. And he's like, but it failed. And he was like, well, that's okay, because I tried again. He's like, but that failed. He's like, but the version 33 that I got to, that worked. And now we've cured the blindness in like 250,000 children. And I'm just like, that's amazing to me.
Thank God you didn't give up at 32.
Yeah, right? Have you seen the movie The Mist?
Don't think so.
I know,
no.
it's just some music. Okay, well, anyone who's seen the movie The Mist will know that just don't give up. Like that, the whole thing with The Mist is don't give up. Just keep fighting till the end.
Especially if it's something that you believe in.
Yeah.
And you're enjoying doing it.
But that goes back to, again, what you being authentic and being you. Like if I've been trolled a little bit on
Have you?
Twitter, yeah. Someone saw me on TV talking about postnatal depression and sought me out and was like, just saw you on TV. What a ponce.
God.
But mental health is something I'm so willing to talk about that I'll take the shots on that. That's fine. I mean, being called like to hold a man up on toxic masculinity.
Did you reply? Did you respond?
No, I was going to, but he only had like
Well
20 followers, and I was just like, I know that the people I'm connected to have bigger followings than me will see that, and they might attack, and they just think.
Well, if you start responding though, then you just sort of sink down to their level, don't you?
Yeah, and I'm not going to change his opinion.
And also, why would you care about someone's opinion who you don't know?
Yeah.
Why does it matter?
Yeah, I know, right?
But that's the world we live in today.
Yeah, we care, and
You can choose to ignore it.
and you can go in deep. So then you think, well, okay, you're in a world where you care about other people's opinion. So now, how do you weight those people's opinions? Is it like you care more what men think than women think? Do you care more if they've got more of an education? Do you care more by their ethnicity, where they live, how old they are? Like, who has the most sway? Like,
And also, why do you care?
exactly.
That's probably the.
And how?
What difference does it make?
And how many people do you need to kind of love you and support you that counteracts the ones who?
Yeah,
are
because
trying
you
to
could
drag
get like
down?
100 compliments, but you could get one
Right.
bad criticism could like knock out 50 of them compliments.
Exactly right.
It's like the balance is, but only if you let it.
Yeah, because it means, which is again being authentic. Like if you genuinely love the thing you love and it's in sync with who you are, no one can tear that down.
No,
Like,
if you're being genuine, you're being authentic, then that's all you can do.
Yeah.
If people want to knock that, then fair enough.
yeah, if they're like, oh, that movie's rubbish. Well, it made me feel this way, and I'm going to stand by it. Yeah, I like
You're
to-
always going to get it. It's part of it. Accept it.
Yeah.
Don't be.
And
don't
I
be
try
afraid of
to
it.
be that open-minded with other people's stuff because, like, particularly when I was younger, they'd like music that I didn't like, and then, but as long as they felt in a similar way that I felt when I listened to the music that connected to me. I think that's like if someone loves whoever it is, like Katy Perry or whatever, and as long as they genuinely love that and it has an impact on them, that's great. If they're doing it because it's popular, then
There is a lot of that, especially like school kids. It's
Yeah.
all peer pressure and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I mean, I was ridiculed because I liked heavy metal and I had long hair. And I looked like a girl, to be fair. But I
Yeah.
didn't care. I couldn't give a shit.
that's it. Because you were
Even
authentic.
then when I was like 14, 15, because I loved the music, I didn't care.
Yeah.
Sometimes people would like knock my books out of my hand or push me over, just when they're passing in the corridor outside.
Yeah.
I didn't care. I just didn't wanting to get something out of me.
See, that's really interesting, because that was your kind of quest, and that was your hero's journey, and that made you strong, so you became a mentor. So now you can come on this podcast and have this podcast and say, don't care what other people think.
I'm just saying what my experience is about, I
Yeah.
suppose. It's not intentional. That's just the way. I suppose anything like this, you're just telling your story and your sort of perception of things.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
it helps someone, great.
And what's great about that is that was a negative experience, but we have to thank negative experiences as well, because
Yeah.
it made us who we are.
Yeah, sometimes like you could go back and thank someone from years ago who
Yeah.
maybe fired you from a job that
Oh, yeah.
turned you in a whole different path that you never thought would have happened otherwise.
Totally, because Oprah Winfrey was fired, right?
Was she?
Yeah, she was fired from a gig, and then she went on to become Oprah. And she wasn't Oprah then.
Wow.
Same like the Beatles got rejected a load of times.
Yeah, they
didn't
did.
Then someone's
No
like,
one
okay,
knew what to do with them.
Yeah. And it's like rejection is just part of it.
Yeah. It's part of life.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
But yeah, younger people though, they're generally more susceptible to it and
Yeah.
more vulnerable. Like the
Yeah.
peer pressure is a big thing. Like smoking. What in this day and age? I'm so surprised at how many people still smoke. I see some people who didn't smoke, but they vape.
Yeah.
Where's that come from? Well, that was only to get off the fags. Well, I don't understand.
I agree entirely.
Where's that come from?
And I asked him, like when we were kids, we didn't have the warnings. Like we knew it was kind of bad, but it wasn't as in your face.
Yeah.
Now it's like it's not.
If you
cool.
turn it over, look at the back. Oh my god.
Yeah. And it's like you can't do it in pubs or inside or whatever.
Yeah, in the
You-
supermarkets, it's all covered over.
Right.
It does not tell you something.
Yeah, and you're like, no, that's for me. That's what I want to do.
The
It's like,
only
come
reason
on.
to start smoking is because other people are doing it.
Yeah.
No one chooses to start. I think I'm going to start smoking. I think it's
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
be really good for me. What other reason is there other than because other people do it?
And it's like everything. The first time it's horrible, so you're going to have to overcome like this.
I tried it when I was about 13, 14, and it, for about 2 weeks. I wrestled with it back and forth, but it was horrible. I kept coughing. It didn't taste very nice. And then there was the price.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm 13. I'd rather buy sweets.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And I did get some sort of like, oh, come on. I was like, no, I don't know. That's not for me.
The money things, it's like, yeah, because it's expensive now. It's like, don't you want to spend that money elsewhere? And the other thing, like, I know I've gone on about movies a lot, but there's a movie called In Time with Justin Timberlake in and Amanda Seyfried.
Right.
And it's the movie where everyone's got, when they hit, they've got a number on their arm. And when they hit, I think 20 or 21, it starts counting down and they've got a year to live. But
Wow.
they get paid in time and they buy coffee in time. So if you go work for like 8 hours, you might get paid, 16 hours or whatever.
Right.
But then you've got to buy your coffee and the coffee is like 3 minutes. And I think about that all the
That's
time.
really interesting.
So like it's for a cigarette or a packet of cigarettes, how many like minutes do you have to work to pay for that? Like that's your time you're selling.
Plus, each one that you smoke is like time coming off your life.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, I think about that a lot. And that's probably one of my favorite movies in terms of questioning the structure of stuff.
Well, sometimes I see like 12-year-old walking down the street with smoking. I'm
yeah.
like, I can't believe that.
But that's,
In this day and age.
I don't know if that's come from their parents or something, but
You
it's
quite
like the
often.
norm.
Yeah. That's like what you're saying about people just predictably going into jobs because their dad did it.
Because they watch it. It's like there's a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it's about a guy whose dad was very like poverty mindset, but his friend's dad was very the poverty mindset dad wouldn't talk about money at the dinner table, whereas the
Yeah, it was
rich
taboo.
dad would talk about it a lot.
It was almost taboo. It was like talking about sex,
yeah, exactly.
if not more.
Exactly right. But by I can't remember where I was going to go with that. But yeah, by talking about it, it would enable them to learn and see. And like if you're seeing your parents, same way if you see your dad treat your mum badly, or you see your parents littering. I have this weird thing now because my daughter's 3, so we've been doing the whole press the button at the traffic lights, wait for him to go green, and then there's always some git who are just cross when it's red.
Yeah. That's
I'm
kind of you just ruined my lesson here.
Exactly. Like you just undermine the crap out of me. So now even when I'm not with my daughter, I'll wait, and I quite like it. I just lean against the traffic light, and I'll be like, I'm just going to take a moment and list the things that I'm grateful for. Look at the architecture.
I'm going to follow the rules.
Like but because there might be a kid in a car or someone looking out a window, it's like, that guy didn't wait for it to be green. Everything my parents have said is a lie.
I never thought of that. See, as a parent, I've never thought about things like that. But yeah, I guess. How do you handle that then? What do you do?
Oh, man.
There's always bad people.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, but no, we usually say silly. Like, oh, silly man, he didn't wait for it to be green.
He might get run over.
Yeah, we don't go that far.
But you do see some parents who like mollycoddle their kids and try and almost like pretend things don't exist. Which I mean, I haven't got kids. What does my opinion count? But that seems detrimental. Like, protecting them from like some parents don't let them go out much. But if you do it too much, surely when they get older, these things are new. They should be new when they're younger. These experiences, so they know how to deal with it when they get older.
Yeah, absolutely. They need to learn how to take risks.
Let them go unaided with other people, other friends.
It's a really nice. We're quite lucky because my soon-to-be ex-wife is very like safe and secure and looks after her a lot. Maybe because I'm the dad, or because I'm just like the beta parent. Like I can't come and go. I'm much more risky with her. I think it's also because I was pretty badass at martial arts, and I feel like she falls. I'm like very aware. Like I'm aware of where my body is, and I can like catch her. Like I'll fall on the floor and save her. Or like I climb up.
You're like a ninja.
Yeah, I am
dad
like
ninja.
Exactly.
Ninja dad.
Like so, I'm pretty physical, I guess.
Yeah.
So like I'll climb up on climbing frames with her and go down slides or whatever. But also I know she's a kid. Like if she falls and breaks her arm, like that's gonna heal like freaking Wolverine. Like I don't think they even put it in a mask. I think it's got like like a green splint. I can't remember what it is. But her whole body is more capable of healing itself than I think any other time.
Yeah, it's incredible. Recovery time.
Yeah. So I want her to kind of take those risks. But as you go into teenage years, like I know there's a leadership specialist. There's a guy called Dov Bowen, and I think Kevin Cruz is the same, who have said, Dov Bowen has said to his kids, if you ever want to do drugs, any drugs, just let me know you're doing it and where you are, and I want to know that you're safe. Because he's like, I took drugs.
Yeah.
Like he's like, I've taken them all. I just, I'm not going. But he finds that his kids then don't do drugs because they don't kind of want to be like their dad. And Kevin was the same. He's like, if you're ever going to drink, just let me know where you are, and I want to make sure you're safe. And they tend not to drink. Or that thing of like, I know he said, okay, you're going out to a party. What time do you want to come home? And they're like, well, what time do you want me to come home?
Rather than you're coming home at such and such time.
And it's like, well, you can pick your time, but just know that I'm not going to sleep or rest until I know you're safe. And the time they come up with is usually earlier than the time he would have accepted. Now, I don't know if that's going to work for everyone, but...
See, what worked for me was my parents did a thing where they didn't say, this is bedtime. They just said, let us know when you want to go to bed. Just when you're tired, go to bed, they said. Rather than, you should be in bed by 7 or 8 or whatever. So then I just got used to I accepted and was quite comfortable with the fact, I'm tired now, I think I'll go to bed.
Yeah.
And to have that from quite an early age, it's like...
That's phenomenal. That's like some seriously good parenting.
I think it was a bit of luck, really. But it kind of worked. I've seen that with other people as well. It's the opposite side of it. It's like, you will go to bed, and then have this huge battle to get them to go to bed. And it's like, yeah, but you've started this by demanding they go to bed, whereas making it about being tired. You're tired, so now it's time to go to bed.
And you, as a parent, you don't have that many kind of weapons in your arsenal. Like, if they don't go, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You're going to...
They're going to hold them hostage.
Yeah. You're going to handcuff them to the bed. It's like
shotgun.
Yeah. Like, I think negotiation is the best way. Like, find
that should be taught at school, then. Child negotiation skills.
I love negotiation. There's a great book called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. He was the FBI lead on negotiation, and I think everyone should read that. Just again, it's also about not being afraid of getting a no. Like when you're trying to sell something, you're so afraid of someone saying no. Yeah,
that's like confident men who don't care about knockbacks.
Yeah,
they just. Okay, what's the worst that can happen? She says no. All right, I'll move on.
Yeah, but you you've then got a starting point and be like, okay, why no? There's a thing you can do when you ask questions designed to get the no, because people are more likely to say no than yes. So if you say to somebody, is now a bad time, they don't want to say yes. Like, they want to say no. They're like, no. Whereas if you like, have you got a second to talk? No.
That's brilliant.
You could do that with anything.
Yeah. What's your next book going to be about?
I think I've got to make it about leadership and communications, because I'm setting up a consultancy around leadership and communications, and I wrote the book because I wanted to make an impact and help people, but it's not really going to get me. It's not a career thing.
Have you already written it?
Not the leadership one. I know what it's going to be. It's
okay.
Leadership is all about all the stuff we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Being authentic, trying to empower those around you. Being vulnerable is a huge thing.
Yeah.
Like the reason we don't really like Superman is a bit too perfect. Like he's got that allergy to like kryptonite. Same with Thor. Like in the first two movies, a bit too perfect. Just like
that kryptonite always seemed like a bit of an afterthought for me. Oh, they got to the end of it. Shit, he hasn't got a weakness. We'll just give him a rock.
Yeah, exactly. Like an alien rock that came down in a meteor, but there's quite a lot around, and anyone can get hold of it. If they need it. It's like, and then there's this red kryptonite. It gets silly.
Yeah, it does.
You look at Marvel, like Thor had putting on weight or having an anxiety attack, being blinded, crying. Like this is huge. We like Batman because he's a psychotic mess.
Yeah.
Iron Man's
Batman's
got the PTSD, alcoholic. Captain America having like a crisis of faith.
Yeah.
Like these are interesting characters, and the reason
superheroes didn't have that back in the day, did they?
No, they were
almost
were
perfect.
Yeah, but no one likes perfect.
No,
and the reason
no one can relate to perfect.
No,
I mean you can't relate to a superhero anyway, but you want to have parts of them that you can relate.
Yeah, exactly right. And it's their flaws and their mistakes and the guilt that we're drawn to. And if you fall in love, most people's experience of falling in love is that point where you stay up until like 4 a.m. talking, and you share every one of your fears, your vulnerabilities, your mistakes. Then they feel like they know you. That's why your best friends are your best friends.
Yeah.
They know your weaknesses.
Yeah.
If you want to connect to people, you want it to be like that. And like you see managers and they're just like, oh, I've got to be, I can't let people know that I don't know what I'm doing, or like I'm out of my depth. It's like, no, you should absolutely let us know that, because we'll like you more and we'll help you. Whereas you just coming around, telling us what to do, that's not a way to inspire us.
Yeah.
Be more like Yoda, less like Superman. Just like,
so
empower us.
How has going through a divorce affected you work-wise?
Well, it just puts everything on hold, kind of. Well, not everything. Like if you're trying to do anything, achieve something, learn something new, just do what you can when you can. Like don't compare. Like if you want to change your life, just try and read 10 pages of a non-fiction like self-help book a day. Like just 10 pages.
Yeah.
If you can't do a day, do a week. Like it'll add up.
Yeah.
And it'll move you in that direction. So the divorce then means, I end up closing down my martial arts studio. I have to move out, and then my partner got inflammatory breast cancer, which is a really nasty kind of breast cancer. So she's going through chemo, so we've got more childhood stuff. So it just means I'm not moving as fast as I would like, but who cares? Like my priority is my ex-partner and my daughter. So it makes it harder for me to go to speaking events or do consultancy, which is like going in and offering training. Yeah. But what I can do around my time is I've started building a course. It's called like Get Visible, and it's just how to kind of do what you're doing, but use social media, write articles, write a book, basically build your brand, build your influence, because that will protect you from the changes in life. And I can do like one-to-one coaching. So it's interesting what you're saying about having a stranger. Like I did a post to get some like beta testers for a coaching program I've got, and someone I know was to sign up immediately, and then 2 people I'm connected to on Facebook but I don't know, like booked in, and then immediately got that sick feeling, like I don't know who they are. Like what are they expecting? Then it's imposter syndrome, like do I know what I'm talking about? Like
it's definitely, that comes in at some point. everyone has that when you start doing something.
So yeah, I just do what I can, but also I've shared the story. Like as soon as we agreed to get divorced, I did a Facebook Live, like 15-minute Facebook Live. I was like, this is what's happening, because I wanted to show an example that you can get divorced without a war, and that was our intention.
Or a complete breakdown.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, I had the breakdown. I felt I had a full-on like crying panic attack in the kitchen. Just
that's normal.
Yeah,
I would say that's normal. That's not.
But it wasn't. I didn't get angry because her reason was perfect. I was just like, but it was all also fear of like, well, am I not going to see my daughter? Am I a bad dad? What will people think of me? And
But they're all normal, rational things that would go through your mind.
yeah,
It's just processing them and
yeah,
talking yourself down.
and then and getting used to this new reality.
Yeah.
And so it's okay. In this new reality, we're separated. What does that mean?
Plenty of people get divorced.
Yeah.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't mean it's the end.
And as soon as that was kind of announced, as soon as we kind of separated, it's amazing how much we compromised to be together. Like we were living in a house in Langwathby. It was lovely, great place to bring up like Evie, but it was too big and it wasn't really either of our personalities. Like as soon as we separate, she buys a nice, like cute, like cottagey house in Penrith. It's like she gets a cat and she's really happy. I go to like Carlisle and I get like it's going to sound nicer than it is, but like a penthouse apartment with like mezzanine floors, balcony, doubled kind of ensuite bathroom. Like I freaking love it.
Yeah, the bachelor pad.
But yeah, exactly. But she would have wanted to live somewhere like that, and I don't really like it where she lives. But you compromise, and as men, and that's a bit of a generalization, but certainly in my experience, men tend to have less input into the family home, and so you just have. You just like, oh, whatever you like. Yeah, that sofa, that's fine. Or yeah, that color, that's fine. So then men suddenly realize that they don't like where they live. So then they bring into existence the man cave. And they're like, oh, this shall be my land. I shall have this man cave where it will be all my colors and my game. And I can go here and be myself. It's like, dude, you shouldn't be escaping your family home. You know,
true. That's true.
You should be
It should be a family home.
Yeah. So then you start spending more and more time, which is what happened with me. I started spending more and more time in the study, which is my like little area, away from all the kids and
I think you do need somewhere like that for work, so you can focus and concentrate.
Yeah.
But the whole house should be a reflection of both of you, I suppose.
Yes, exactly right. and I don't know if that's one of the contributing factors, but you know, it certainly meant that I was like we wouldn't go to bed at the same time, so I'd be in my man cave.
I think that's quite common these days. People live busy lives. I think there's a lot of people who do two things, like they have other things outside of their work.
Yeah.
But that's part of the balance of following a passion outside of your normal job, trying to make something else work.
And I think a lot of people
hustle.
Yeah, and this like phrase, the side hustle is growing, and like what you're doing, which is great, is you're building like awareness and a personal brand. This is all good because technology is going to disrupt everything, and I see people now being made redundant, and they're like, oh, I didn't think I'd be made redundant. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, just take a look around at the amount of big major companies that are going.
Like car manufacturing and how many people got made redundant when machines could make cars?
Yeah, right. And that's happening to like every field. And I just think in order to protect yourself, you ideally want to have multiple income streams. And I think getting known is a great way of protecting yourself. So, like, if I lost my job at the college, or I decided to leave, I'm pretty comfortable that I could just start saying on social media, hey, you know my skill base, who wants to hire me?
Yeah, you could do like public speaking, and that you could go down that route more.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got some things lined up, but you know, I'm doing a talk at the Carlisle Young Ambassadors, I think, and there's another leadership and wellbeing thing that I'm coming up that I'm going to talk at. I've talked to stuff before. I talked to another tends to be around wellbeing, which I'm happy to do. Because that's just, again, just sharing my story.
Yeah.
And they just, like, it goes back to the first 10 minutes or so. If you've been through a battle, your responsibility is to go and share what you learned.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't care what it is. Whether you climbed, whether it was an athletic feat that you achieved, whether it was you overcame cancer, or you went through a divorce, or you had some life-threatening injury. Like, come and share your story. Or, honestly, postnatal depression caught me by surprise. No clue men could get it at all. And now I worry whenever I see guys like leaving their family. It's like, oh, no, their dad left when she was 3 months. I was like, you kidding me? Did anyone check that he had depression?
I must admit, I heard of it not that long ago, but before that, I'd never heard of it.
Yeah. Another one.
Obviously, women quite often get it, which is understandable. So,
oh my God,
but I've never really understood the men side of it.
I don't understand it. I try. I would imagine it's very different from women. I think it's definitely a change of circumstance. So that's stress. You're kind of ignored as the dad. Like you become kind of invisible, and I think your ego takes a big hit. And then the socialization, like I'd never held a baby before.
I honestly don't understand. I've never understood how it feels for women either.
No.
Like, what is postnatal depression? There's suddenly a responsibility that's it's all on you now.
And you're supposed to be the perfect mother from day one.
Yeah, and if it's not going right, maybe you start going downhill, thinking I can't do this sort of thing.
And honestly,
is that kind of what it was like for you?
I felt like I was in this weird like bubble, or that my family were in like a snow globe and I couldn't get in, and I thought they were all lying to me. I thought that every guy who'd ever said, "Oh, fatherhood is amazing," you're going to have a connection. It's just, I was like, that's freaking propaganda. They were in hell, and they were like, "Well, I'm going to get happier by dragging this guy into this."
Wow.
So I didn't feel any love. I felt trapped. I felt overwhelmed. I felt tricked. None of that is true. Like,
well, overwhelmed, I would imagine, is a pretty normal one because it's a lot to, especially for first-time parents, I would imagine.
And they didn't know what I was doing, and guys don't like being laughed at.
But that's why there is no book about parenting. There's no like, you do this, then you do this, then you do this. It hasn't been written because every circumstance is different.
Yeah, that's it. There's like a million different pieces
and they're all
of
different.
advice. Yeah, and like all the midwives would say something different. So yeah, and so that was a hard thing to go through. And then before that, we'd had a miscarriage at the 3-month mark, I think it was.
Right.
But we assumed that you have a miscarriage if you smoke or you drink or there's issues or you're older. It
could be anything.
Yeah, right. And so we did everything wrong. We were like, okay, we feel in our parental hearts that this is going to be a daughter, and we shall name her Sky, and this is how our Christmas is going to be when she's born. And then we lost her, and oh man, that was freaking devastating. And then you start talking about it. And, my mum said, oh, yeah, I had several miscarriages before you. And, like, our friends are like, oh, I've had miscarriages. It's like, why are you keeping this stuff to yourself? Why?
I think it's a very British thing.
Yeah.
Not want to talk about things.
I know, right? But then you're like, oh, how are you doing? Anything going on? And then I think that contributes to, like, loneliness and mental health. It's like, whatever you're going through, someone else has been through.
Yeah.
Like, just reach out.
I think it does. You don't realize how much it can help.
Yeah.
It's somewhere along the line. That's part of the reason why I fell in love with podcasts initially, probably about 10 years ago, was the types of conversation that you could come across.
Yeah, yeah.
That you weren't finding, certainly nowhere on mainstream TV or radio or anything. Like, most conversations were covering the same topics, asking the same questions, very short, sandwiched between other things that you're not interested in.
Yeah.
But it was the first time I was like, oh, you can get these kind of conversations on demand.
Yeah.
And nowhere else.
And what's great is you can get access to like really like skilled mentors as well. Like Joe Rogan's he's skill based, and like 'cause he kind of, I love this phrase, like basking in the intellectual halo of others. Like he feels now as though he's really, really intelligent, but really he's just interviewed really, really intelligent people.
He's asked a lot of questions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And but he knows that stuff, because he can be like, oh, it's like when I was talking to Elon Musk, he said this. It's like, wow, okay, that's fantastic. Yeah,
I think it's the future, but I don't know if it's podcast is definitely getting popular, and you saying about people having the app on their phone. I think that's Google's next step, is to have the Google Podcasts app already on the main screen.
If you were doing it 10 years ago, dude, you were ahead of the curve.
Oh, yeah. Some people were doing it 15 years ago. 2004, 2005 was when the first podcasts started, but there was no real way to consume them.
Yeah.
Even when I started listening, like 2009, I had to download the MP3 to my computer and connect my phone, copy it to my phone, and then plug my phone into my car to then listen to it. I had to do it for like, maybe I was only had 5 or 6 maybe podcasts back then, so I had to keep doing that every other day. Then finally apps, because like, oh, thank God I can get a podcast app.
Yeah.
Just subscribe, and they're all there in one place. But now I'm subscribed to too many, I can't.
And do you do a podcast every week?
We do 2 a month.
Okay, that's cool.
1 every 2 weeks. That's the right sort of schedule for us. We initially we were like, we're gonna do 1 a week. Yeah, it'd be easy. Like, no, we're not gonna do 1 a week. Then we sort of practiced doing 1 a week. It's like, it's too much work.
Yeah, totally.
Because I've got to like research the guests. You've got to book them, research them. Then you've got to like do the show, edit the show, put stuff out, and it's just like it was constant. If you did 1 a week, you always. Now I can sort of plan a bit more ahead. Yeah. And take breaks in between in his life.
Absolutely.
And then forget about it and then come back to it.
Yeah, and it's better to have people waiting for good content than.
I like putting them out, and then I'll sort of forget about it. I'll do all the promotion, then I'll forget about it, and then about a week later I'll come back and go, oh, seems to have been received rather well. Read some of the comments and reviews.
Dude, you just inspire me. The fact that you can do that, it just is.
Do what?
Just like put something out there, and then like fire and forget. Just be like, yeah, it's out there now. I'm gonna go and do some other
I never
stuff.
used to. I was obsessed with it, refreshing the stats every 5 minutes. But eventually, when you get to a certain point, like, I'm happy with it now. All I'm focused on now is having the best conversations I can have.
Yeah, totally.
picking the right guests, doing the research.
Do you study kind of interview techniques, or do you just you more human, like a human
Only from
connection?
other podcasts like this. So
Yeah.
I'm subscribed to many, and just doing it.
Yeah.
Because I did a bit of research before we started, and it was like about how to have conversations like this is to just listening was the biggest one. The skill of being able to listen to what someone's saying, even if you've got something else you want to say, but you've still got to listen to what they're saying first, because
absolutely.
you might have something to add first.
Yeah.
That might lead you down another path. So you might even not even get to what you wanted to say.
Yeah.
But that makes for the best conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like those ones, like we said before, it's like ask question after question after question. It's like,
but also being, as you've done kind of really well, just not being afraid of asking questions that not might upset me, but it's like, how is your divorce? It's like,
that's what we do here.
Yeah.
What was the worst that could happen? You could say, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Then we wouldn't have talked about it, and we would have moved on.
That'd be really weird if you came on a podcast and it was like this.
You'd already
this
mentioned
topic.
it, so
Yeah,
I thought.
Yeah, but you'd picked up on that, but I am an open book. I'll talk about like anything.
I kind of picked up on that.
Yeah, I just think I don't know any other way to be now.
I think you'd be really suited to doing a podcast.
Hey, thank you.
I think the content that you put out, it's not scripted per se. You kind of go with an idea of what you're going to say.
Yeah.
But like especially Instagram, the stories, they disappear.
Yeah.
So if people
I
missed
do worry
it.
about that. And I do try. I vary what I do. Like Instagram, I try to be a bit more kind of motivational. Facebook tends to be a bit more personal. Like my daughter will appear more on Facebook.
Yeah, but podcasts are also, if someone's downloaded, they've chosen to download it, so you know that they want to listen to it. Not sometimes they're scrolling through something. Oh, I'll give that a listen. If they're subscribed and they get every episode, you know that they're into it.
See, it's cool talking to you because one of the things I worry about is all the decision making. Like I remember, one of the things that got me confidence when I was younger is I used to work in bars. Like I think I got a bar job when I was like 18, 19, whatever, and I worked in bars for quite a bit, and you get really kind of good at it.
It forces you to.
So then you think. So someone's like, oh, do you think you'd ever open a bar? And I'm like, no, I'd overthink it. I was like, I'd overthink, like, do I want really comfy chairs so that people are kind of sitting there and taking their time over a pint? Or do I want uncomfy chairs so that they come in, have a pint, move on for the next person to come in?
Yeah.
Like, am I going to have female bartenders so that the guys come in, but then girls don't really want to come in with loads of guy customers and they don't want the competition? Or do I have like all male bartenders because then all the women come in and the guys follow the women?
So no, I don't.
But that's the same like with the podcast. It's, oh man, I'm going to do it like 20, 30 minutes, so it's the length of a commute, or but you can't get that much depth there. I'm going to do it in person. I'm going to do it every day, once a week, every so many questions.
It's like we said before, just start.
Just
Just do it. Like, what's made you decide the lengths that you were doing on Instagram? Because you can do them up to like half an hour, can't you?
Yeah, you
or an
could.
hour.
I think right now there's just so much going on. I don't have any time, so I'll do it like a quick minute thing, and then I'm out. Unless someone asks me to be like, can you go in depth on this? And then I'm like, okay.
Yeah, because sometimes you might get a bit of inspiration. I've got some thoughts on this when I talk about this, and at least in a podcast, it's there permanently.
Yeah, totally.
And you can also write up sort of a blog to go with it and like expand on it.
You can do so much. You can repurpose this content like crazy. Like you've got this. You can then write an article that summarizes what you've said and kind of put that onto a physical blog. You can create quote cards from quotes that you liked from it. You can create those little videos with the audio thing.
Yeah, like a sound clip.
Sound clips and stuff. Like you've got content for days. Then you can what you could do is then at the end of this year write a book and be like 20 podcasts, 20 guests, or whatever. Cumbria, they use Cumbria because that's kind of a nice kind of niche. So 20 Cumbrian conversations.
Yeah.
And you just write up a chapter on 20 guests.
Yeah.
Then you're a published author.
Well, you could always repurpose stuff in your book.
Yeah. I need
it's always there.
More. Yeah, exactly right.
But that's what you're kind of doing on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, because a lot of
Some
it is that foundation. And a lot of the time I'd be like, oh, it's like that chapter of my book. Like the first chapter, one of the first chapters I wrote for my book was actually the first article I wrote. And I think it was called 7 lessons from this video game Skyrim or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And then the next one would have been 10 lessons I learned from my daughter of how to deal with depression or something like that. But those are then, if you can write like a 1,000-word article, you can write a book, because a book is only... People get confused as to what a book is. Like they think it's like a big textbook. Yeah. But those big books, like the 50,000 word ones, usually have a publisher, and they're 50,000 words because the publisher wants them to be heavy, so they can charge like $19.99, $24.99. But you read the reviews, because there's so many TED
I'd say
Talks.
it's too
now,
long.
They'll be like, yeah, I got the gist after halfway.
Yeah.
Or you can just watch the guy's TED Talk. Like if you can just watch a 20-minute talk instead of reading 50,000 words, it's fluff.
That's another thing in these days, or people think rather would watch something than read it.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, absolutely.
that's why like digital, physical media is going out.
Yeah.
People are always like, I've never bought a book for years. I always just buy the Kindle version.
Oh man, I've gone back to books, so I don't know
I
why
do.
that is.
Like I said, it's the same with CDs. I do still prefer that, but it just doesn't work for me in my lifestyle. I can't.
Yeah.
The physicality of it is just not going to work.
I need the anchor, the reminder. So if I'm going to bed, I need the pile of books next to it. So, oh, that's the book I'm reading. Like if I don't see it, I won't think, oh, I know what I can do. I can get my iPad and open up the Kindle.
Right.
Like if I can see it, I'm more likely to read it. And so
That's true.
it's just a hack. I used to have a Kindle. I use the Kindle more, but yeah, less so now.
Yeah, I always wonder if because there's always magazines going out of circulation, publications shutting down. That's just a sign of. That's just the trend of the way we're going. You've just got to adapt to it.
Yeah, I wonder how newspapers are still going.
Well, there's a lot of people commuting to work.
Oh, that's valid.
And I think it's maybe an older generation though.
Yeah.
Maybe in like another 20 years when that generation's died out, then they will go.
Yeah.
Like HMV got saved,
Yeah.
100 stores, but that's still going to go eventually, aren't they?
Yeah, totally.
Because
Because
not enough people doing it.
But what's crazy is it will get to the point easily within our lifetime, a lot sooner, where you can be watching a TV program and be like, oh, TV, buy me those shoes. And then the freaking drone will deliver it to you that day.
Yeah, Amazon have started trying those things,
Yeah.
haven't they? Got drone deliveries.
Totally.
I always think people are just going to nick them out of the sky. Like, hooking it like that.
I saw this great article. I think it was in China where drug dealers were using drones to deliver drugs. so to stop it, the police then had police drones to go after them. So
This guy, cops in the air.
yeah. But then the criminals started putting like bodyguard blocker drones, who would then take on the police drones. And there
Sounds like a really good computer game, that.
exactly. There was an interview with the police, and they were like, "We're having the best time. This is the most fun I've had." Because they're in like an arms race with drones. Just that's amazing.
That's like some of a fantasy book or something.
Totally.
Isn't it?
It's like Minority Report.
Who would
or
have
something.
thought? That's your job. I'm a drone pilot.
Yeah.
But in the army, that's a perfectly viable job these days.
And that'll eventually be like AI, I would think.
Yeah.
It'll just be like AI drones flying around.
Yeah, like we're already on it with the automated cars and the on the motorway they have the lorries doing long distance, just keeping the same.
And that's it. I think the argument is that you might have like say a row of like 10, 20 lorries, but the person at the front will be a human. And I think like the same with like fast food places or banks. Maybe they won't go. Maybe the job won't disappear, but like 80% of it will.
Yeah, be less human involvement.
Yeah, totally. So you need to be the best in your field, the best in your office, the best in your company, or you need to be building a side hustle and you're upskilling.
As we all are.
Yeah, exactly. Like learning new skills is amazing. It's so easy.
But I wonder how many people are just sort of stuck in a rut or a routine of they're not thinking what else is out there. They're just sort of accepting the way they are.
Yeah,
their life.
And they say, "Oh, that's not for me," or "I don't understand that." It's like, well, learn.
But they've not tried.
No,
they're saying these things sort of in prejudice, so they haven't tried.
Yeah.
But it's also like I've said before, like teenagers or people at university, it's a lot of pressure on them to go to university, especially how much that costs. But they don't often know. I think it's too young to know what you want to do.
Without a doubt.
You should be able to like try different things.
Yeah.
How many people do all that and then end up doing something completely different?
Exactly right.
Have they just wasted all that time and money?
But the argument to go to uni is mixed, depends on the subject. But one of the arguments to go to uni is to go have fun. Then I think if you're
first year, the first year, sack that off. But
yeah, like the first year is just like a party.
yeah,
It's
and even the universities know that.
yeah, totally. This counts nothing towards your grade.
That's why they made that decision early on.
Yeah, exactly. Just learn how to cook and socialize and whatever. So it's also a forced way of socialization. So maybe that's.
I wonder if one day all university courses were 1 year. And then they went, oh shit,
They
have to make these 2 years.
They absolutely should be 2 years now, and they're coming.
Instead of 3.
2-year degrees are starting to appear.
Right.
There's a couple of places doing them, and there's no reason why they shouldn't be. Because if you start using technology and having like video courses as well that you can do over summer, like that's there's so much, and even because I'm amazed I'm getting away with being a lecturer still.
Getting away. The imposter syndrome.
But instead of having like a classroom, why? Absolutely, in person is better.
Yeah.
But I could still be doing a webinar for like 1,000 people, and then do one-to-ones outside of that. And maybe I'm not the best. Like if you want to teach, I don't know, it almost doesn't matter. This filmmaking. Well, just how about you get like a Hollywood film director to do a lesson on that on a webinar, and but there's so many people there that it doesn't cost him any more money because he's got 1,000 students or 10,000.
Yeah.
And then he's got like TAs who can kind of help them. It's
Yeah.
like the model of this going into classroom with the hoodies and pulling it up so you can get a nap while the guy's talking, and like it's gonna be disrupted. And people don't, like, the new generation learn well from YouTube videos. So
yeah, you've just got to adapt.
Yeah, it's like, I find it strange that places aren't using that more. Education isn't using that more.
Yeah, like that could almost be one of your lectures. Could be you just got to log on.
Yeah,
you don't have to go to an actual.
Exactly right.
Well, you could have a lecturer who's not even at that university, but they do every other week. They
in
do
an entirely different country. They could be.
Yeah.
Like
that's easily possible these days, surely.
Yeah.
Surely you could get as much out of it as being there in person.
Probably more because you've then got a recording of it as well.
That's true.
And if you couldn't make it in that day, or you were ill, or you couldn't log on.
Yeah.
And you've got it for the next year. So just paying for 1 year.
Yeah.
Just like.
And that material could be used repurposed.
Yeah.
Otherwise as well. But it's like going back to what we were saying about what you learn at school. Like tests favour the people who've got good memories.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean they're going to be the best at whatever job they end up doing.
No, not at all. And the way it's taught, I think most of that knowledge goes within like 3 months. There's a big
3 months. Wow.
Yeah, there's a big drop off in knowledge.
It's interesting, like the things that you learn and like versus what you've been able to transfer of that to real life.
Yeah,
the percentage is not very high.
But you remember what you want to remember, right? Like I can't remember. I forgot my niece's 18th birthday recently, but I remember that the John Carpenter movie The Thing came out in 1982. That knowledge is going nowhere. That'll stay in my head. Same year E.T. came out.
Yeah, I do that sometimes. You associate big events with other things just to line them up so you never forget.
Yeah, totally. And that's how I don't know what, but those things are important to me. It just sounds really bad, doesn't it? But someone's birthday, I'm like, okay, someone will remind me, I'm sure.
Well, in this days, it's all digital, isn't it?
I know, right?
Something will remind me. What's
going to happen is, I'm amazed it hasn't happened yet as well, is that Facebook will start automating happy birthdays. Like, why am I having to type that?
I've already written 3 birthday messages today for you.
I know, right? And I try and change it each time. Like, if you've got 5 birthday notifications, it's like, hey, happy birthday, bud. Hey, have a great day. Congratulations. Like, you get bored. So why can't I just let like a bot do that?
Yeah. Do you ever think you'll go to the other end of the scale and teach what you're teaching to older people?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would. Weirdly, I hadn't thought quite that far, but one of the things I absolutely would do is go into and meet like CEOs or business owners or managers and just be like, come on, dudes, like, stop wearing a suit and tie. Like,
yeah. They're just thinking about, like, they're often quite the people who are making the big decisions, but they're pretty out of the loop.
Yeah, totally.
Which is why they sometimes make bad choices and become the bad guy.
Yeah, and the kind of jokes of the companies like Blockbuster and Kodak, who just aren't changing with the times, because aren't keeping up to date. And big companies are sluggish.
They always say it's a young man's game.
Yeah.
Or should I say today's it's a young person's game.
But also,
I do apologise.
Do you say you were 38?
38.
Yeah. I'm 42. So in this current world, we're less of the mentors that we wish we were, because the first 20, 25 years of our life don't really matter anymore. Like, they're not relevant to this world.
They're relevant to us, but not to anybody else.
But the way we dated is different now. The way we met kind of women is different now. The way we learned, the way we played, the way we applied for jobs. It's like
the way we consumed information.
Yeah. The diets we ate, it's all different now.
Yeah.
So at least young people, they come out of this teenage years, but they're looking forward.
Yeah.
Whereas so many of people our age are still looking to the past. So you still see people have conversations like, oh, well, being hit as a kid didn't hurt me, or bring back Canaan, or like, why are you looking that far into the past?
It's also, I look back to some sitting around as kids. We used to talk utter bollocks before the internet. If we could have just looked something up then, it would have saved so just rubbish, just absolute garbage we just used to talk about. Because that's a huge advantage of today. They can just look up anything up.
Yeah.
Anything you think about, I wonder, I'll look it up. We just didn't have that. We didn't have to. Someone would say something, you just thought, okay.
I love this idea. I think your brain takes on more knowledge than we think. Like there's more in your head than you think. And I knew this from one of the martial arts you do with self-defense. Like your brain is taking in like the exit points and stuff. So if you get attacked, like your conscious won't realize it, but you'll then run in the direction of the exit or that kind of little things like that. And you'll be able to remember stuff like in hypnosis or whatever. So I like just trying to, when I think I know something, I like just sitting and be like, I'm going to see if I can remember this. I'm going to ask my subconscious the answer. And I listen to the musical Hamilton a lot. I really, really like it. So I can remember sitting one time and being like, who are the first 4 presidents of the United States? And I didn't want to Google it. And I was like, I must know that. Like the first one is George Washington for sure. Like I knew that. So, okay, who's the second? And I just kind of like, listened to kind of the music in my head and just thought about it. And I think now I'm going to have to remember on it. It was George Washington. Then it was Thomas Jefferson, I think. And then it was somebody else. It was John Adams. I think it was John. It was Washington, then John Adams, because John Adams was a bit of a joke. Then it was Thomas Jefferson, I think, and then it was Thomas someone else, I think. But anyway, but I need to.
But you knew that was in there somewhere, but you had to sort of coax it out.
Yeah. And when I did it, I got it right. I think I got it wrong then. But
well, because sometimes when you're having conversations with people, they bring some up, and you go, "I totally forgot about that." Oh yeah.
It's in there.
It's like it was in there all this time.
We lost our keys once, and I sat down and started playing Xbox, and my then wife was like, "What are you doing? We need to find the keys." I was like, "I'm going to find them. I'll remember. I just need to give my subconscious time to, because I know where I put them. I just forgotten, right?" So then I started playing the game, and then it was like, "Oh, here's that information you needed." I was like, "Oh, I know where they are," and then I went and got them.
Yeah, sometimes when it lets you down, when you really, I can't remember it, and then you remember it later when it's irrelevant.
Yeah. I had a message from someone from Facebook called Teresa, and she was like, "Do you know how long it's taken me to find you?" And I was like, "Who the hell is Teresa?" I was like, "Okay," and then I was like driving, so I couldn't do anything about it. And I was like, "Okay, where would I know a Teresa from, and who would this be from, and why wouldn't she be able to find me? Like, why would it take you a long time? Like, Google my name, I'm everywhere." But then my brain got to it, and I was like, "Oh, I think that's Teresa from like the theatre I worked in when I was like 20." And then I was like, "Who are you?" She was like, "Oh, I used to work at the theatre with you." I was like, that's like 20 years ago. And it took me like 20 minutes or so of my mind just like, okay,
going down a bit of a journey.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in us kind of subconscious and our minds knowing.
It's almost like you have to work your brain out, give your brain a bit of an exercise.
Yeah.
To access your files.
yeah, I do think of it that way. I just have faith in yourself.
I sometimes feel like everyone's got different brain information capacity, and I'm almost at full. Like new things, I struggle to retain new. Like if someone gives me a series of directions, I've got no chance.
Yeah, totally. I'm the same.
I'm never going to remember this. Never. So if I was with a group of people, I'd say, I'm not the person to give these directions to.
Yeah.
You remember things. Where we're going.
Yeah. No, totally.
Everyone's got to work to their skills.
I love because what you're doing is putting like together your Dungeons and Dragons squad. That's amazing. Like, you're like who's the mage, who's like the tank.
Yeah.
Okay, you're the memorizer.
But you're just gonna put your hand, like some people wouldn't want to admit that, and it would just okay. And then it would just all crumbling down later. But I would rather just stop now and say, I'm not going to, this is not going to, we're going to fail if you rely on me for this.
Yeah.
You do this.
yeah. That's good. When I did my teacher training, there was for some reason we got tested on that. You have to remember all these directions. And there was a girl there who just knew all of it. She remembered absolutely everything. It was like, go down the road, there'd be a red letterbox, turn right there. Then you see the zebra crossing. And I was like, how do you remember that? But she'd created like a narrative.
Yeah, people do that. Yeah. But going back to like tests favouring people with good memories, surely if like an employer could look at some younger person, they would, because half of it is tests and half of it is like coursework stuff that you do on your own time assignments.
Yeah, sure.
Surely that would be the clearer sort of sign of what they're going to be when they're older, because they've put the work in. Just because they couldn't remember some questions under pressure, doesn't reflect how they're going to be as an employee.
For me, it would be the interview. Like, I wouldn't care
That
necessarily.
as well, but their work, if they've put a lot of work into it and it's good and it's organised and they've thought it out, that says a lot about them.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
if they couldn't remember a couple of questions, they're going a bit blank on something.
Yeah.
That's not that bad.
I like that idea because that's kind of like the portfolio idea, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
like, this is my work, and that does mean.
I've put a lot of time into it.
Yeah.
In this test, I couldn't quite remember a couple of stats
Yeah.
or a couple of years, but
Oh my God. Yeah.
what does it matter?
Yeah, exactly. And I might have been ill that day. or
When's that going to
whatever.
reflect later life? It's not.
No, it is. It's absolutely out of date.
Because I liked the model of like university when it's all on you.
Yeah.
They give you some subjects, they give you lectures, go and do it.
Yeah.
It's all on you. The pressure's on you then. No
Yeah.
one's telling you, feeding you information.
And you don't even care if you don't turn up. That's the crazy
No,
thing.
it's pretty relaxed.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, well, we've got your money.
That's a good way of looking at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's crazy when you go back in because student loan debt doesn't feel like real money. And I think if you work it out,
It's this
like,
mystical thing that's going to come way down the line.
Exactly. So you're like, I can't be bothered to go in today. But it's probably costing you 100 or 150 quid a day.
Yeah.
Like if you had to,
if you put it that way, yeah.
like if you actually have to physically pay for that, which is the problem with YouTube as well, is because there's so much content, like education content, and it's free, we don't pay attention. Whereas I've done like a video course that I paid for. I paid £1,000 for it.
Wow.
So I do that course like every year. Like I'm
Was
getting.
it you took the course or you give the course?
No, I paid £1,000 to do the to
Take part in the course.
Yeah.
Ah, right, okay.
And
Was it beneficial?
Yeah, but then even if it wasn't, I'm going to make it beneficial to justify spending £1,000 on it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the same with piracy, right? Like if I pirate a movie and I didn't like it, I always say I didn't like it, but I pirated it because I know I wasn't.
I've stopped doing all that. I've stopped doing that a long time, especially with like music, and I've stopped
Sure.
doing that. Games, and I used to just copy and pirate everything
Yeah.
without really knowing what I was doing.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
it got to a point when all the file sharing and a lot was kicking off. I was like, oh my god, I'm contributing to this.
Yeah,
And
totally.
with all my friends, we kind of all had the same realization.
Yeah.
A couple of them were like, no, I'm just going to keep doing it. It's like,
I
not
think
listening.
If it's the problem is there's so much media and we can't consume everything. Like I think we probably are all spending the same percentage on like entertainment that we were like 20 years ago, 40 years ago. Like I've got a certain amount for like music or CDs or film, and I'll spend it. But then I want more because there's adverts being like, oh, you've got to watch this and you've got to play this and do this, and I can't get access. Like when Game of Thrones first came out, I was like, this is aimed at me. This is made for me.
Right.
But I can't watch it, so I'm going to have to pirate it. But then
Why couldn't you watch it?
because it was on Now TV and I'm Now TV or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So I
Right.
pirated it, but then I then bought all the books. I then
Yeah.
bought the Blu-ray once it was out.
Yeah.
I then bought the game.
Yeah, I get
and-
that. I get that. Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like if it's good enough to make me a fan, you're going to get my money.
Yeah, that's true.
That's it. Same
That's a
like
good point.
if I pirate a film and I love it, I'm going to buy the Blu-ray.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I have done that with a few movies where I've been able to get it before it's come out, but then
Yeah.
I've gone to cinema to see it.
Yeah.
And if it's really good, I've bought it when it's come out
Exactly
as well.
right.
I just wanted it earlier.
Yeah, that's it. You want it on my time frame because
Surely they could set up some sort of agreement where you click a thing to say, "Let me watch it 3 months before it comes out, but
Yeah.
I'll promise I'll buy it when it comes out."
Well, if it was available to pay and stream, I would have paid for it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, yeah.
it wasn't. So.
Well, this is why the company that is in charge or the biggest, most responsible for the music side of the digital music is a computer company and not a record company.
yeah.
That's exactly what happened. The record companies just went blah, blah, file sharing, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, 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 and Apple just went, okay, we'll develop a model that reflects
I know,
what's going on.
It's a weird thing in entrepreneurial spaces as well. Is I guess the model they use is you give away your best stuff for free. And
Yeah.
so like the stuff, if I really get into like a coaching type space or training space on social media, I'm not holding back my best stuff. I'm like, this is the best way I know how to
Yeah.
deal with this. And if someone asks me a question about social media or leadership, like I'll give my best stuff away. But they're not going to do anything with it because it's free.
Yeah.
And I know that there'll be people who then want to hire me or hire me to come and do training or hire me as a consultant or to do coaching because they want to go more in depth or they want it personalized or they want to be a part of it. But I see that a ton.
Yeah.
It works because
does
you're
work,
sharing
definitely.
your credibility and authority.
Yeah, you're putting yourself out there
Yeah.
as authentic as you can be, doing your best, and that it's what it leads to later down the line.
Yeah.
It's like putting that. A lot of people don't think like that, do they? They think giving your stuff away for free.
Yeah. But people like knowledge is almost worthless now because you can find knowledge anywhere.
Yeah.
What people need is the support to kind of implement that knowledge or the encouragement or the guidance or the ability to go deep into what that knowledge means for them personally. But if you want to learn about social media marketing, like there's a great place called HubSpot that do courses on that. You can just go learn it.
But also, just look on YouTube.
Look on YouTube.
Produce anything you want. You can want to learn. It's on there.
Yeah, you want to learn about communication. Like the communication specialists have written books or done TED Talks. Like there's better people who you can go watch virtually, but you might need someone like me to do the one-to-one part.
I didn't spend a penny on anything to do with podcasting before we launched. I spent a year just researching.
Oh wow!
There was loads of courses I could have paid to do, but all the resources I needed were all there for free.
Yeah.
How to start a podcast? What microphones do you need? Who should host your podcast? What do you do? What do you not do? All of that I learned, and I didn't spend a penny.
Yeah, totally.
So I think some people feel like you have to spend money.
I think the problem is, and it might not be true in your case, but if you don't spend money and it's free, there's a lot. You end up spending more time, I think. Whereas I think if you pay, you can get a very kind of structured, for example, course.
I had a lot of time.
Yeah, exactly.
You're either going to spend money or you're going to spend time.
Exactly right.
I had a lot of time, so
like one of the things I've spent money learning is like how to write for kind of big publications and bigger ones than I'm writing for, because I've got a direction that I want to go, and I paid for that because I wanted the shortcut.
Yeah.
But even now, I know there's misinformation everywhere, and I could have, worked it out through trial and error, but I don't have time. I'm like 42. I've got a kid. My wife's got chemo. I'm going through a divorce. I'm working during the day. It's like I'm paying for the shortcuts.
Yeah, that's what it's for. It's the same in podcasting. A lot of people pay people to edit and put out their podcast because they don't have the time.
Yeah, totally.
Whereas I could have done that, but I had the time, so I thought, well, I'll do it myself.
Have you got a job? What's your day job?
I'm a taxi driver.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
let's look outside.
Yeah,
cool.
But I always wanted to do this for a long time, but then I thought, well, I can do it myself.
That makes total sense, because you're like the taxi drivers talk.
Drive a lot.
You meet a whole host of people.
Yeah.
You see a whole different kind of aspect of
and I get to listen to podcasts all day.
Yeah.
Music and podcasts. So that's why I'm a huge podcast consumer.
People don't do that. People, we've got 1,440 minutes in any given day, and we probably sleep 500 of them. So you're already down to 900, and then you take out when you're working. And people don't realize that you can kind of find the dead space in time. And if you're,
obviously commuters.
Exactly.
People always try and tailor their podcast for a perfect commute. Yeah. But I always say, if your content's really good, even if it's 3 hours long, they'll just listen to it in bits as they can.
They will.
Well, I don't know why you have to.
No, I agree.
Because people. Some podcasts I've subscribed to, it ends too quickly. Like they're clearly just doing that because they feel like they have to.
Yeah,
a lot. Part 2, part 3, just put it out as a wanna.
I listen to a podcast. Yeah, that happens a lot, and then they end up going to find the people they had on as guests. And people are nice. They say the other big thing I've learned is people who you might think of as like celebrity or too successful to kind of deign to notice you. You can message them on Twitter or whatever. Hey, I just listened to you being interviewed. I really loved what you said about that. They're like, hey, they'll get back to you.
Yeah, and I've noticed celebrities, when they're doing their press junkets around, they're doing a lot more podcasts these days. Mm-hmm. And they actually look forward to podcasts because they know they can swear.
Yeah.
They can go off topic. It's longer. And they can go deeper into stuff. And obviously, the rest of it is same questions over and over again. Tell us about your latest thing. It's just like blah.
Yeah.
No wonder they get sick of it.
Who are you wearing? That kind of stuff. Whereas a podcast, you would hope, is a genuine fan.
Yeah.
And they're not media trained, I guess. So they're gonna ask questions that maybe no one else has asked.
Like I always say, and this sometimes I'll say, I'm going to ask you about such and such. If it's a band and they've just got an album, we will talk about that. But we'll also go way beyond that. We'll talk about your history, and we'll just whatever comes up. And I think they like that idea that it's just a normal conversation, because you don't get a lot of it when you're doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's very going around in circles doing the same stuff. The only thing I've developed is when you do the same stuff, you get asked the same questions. You end up coming up with good answers.
Oh yeah.
Versus when you started, you're like, well, by the end of it, you're like, well, pull up a chair.
Yeah, totally.
Do you know what I mean? You become accustomed to it.
Yeah.
But I can imagine it must be soul destroying, especially those actors when they're promoting films.
Oh.
You see them just going. It's hard for the interviewer though. You've got 7 minutes. Like, oh God.
But it must be possible to come up with a new question or something.
Well, most of them, it's like they always come up with one unique thing that I'm trying to think, what would they not have been asked? But then everything else is all the other stuff they have been asked. So they're just like, once they get beyond that, the interview just goes downhill. I mean, you must have seen those clips of people being really awkward in interviews.
I saw one with Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, they just have really bad day. I've seen one with Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
When they're just going, yeah, no.
Yeah.
They they're just not there. They're just gone.
Yeah.
It's just like that would be hard as the interviewer. You just get nothing.
Yeah, when Caroline was on, I think she was sharing a story about that.
Yeah.
About how, your job is to kind of bring the energy so you can bring them out
Coax
themselves.
the conversation. Yeah. Luckily, we've not had anyone like that.
No, sure.
But you've got to, you've got to kind of go pick. I wouldn't want to pick someone who hadn't done much if they were quite young, usually. Or if I couldn't find anything online, I have no frame of reference. How do I know what they're going to be like?
Yeah, totally. That's valid.
Because they could write a blog, but that's writing, that's text. Anyone can do that. But it's like, what are they going to be like when they appear in front of me? They're just going to go,
that's true. Yeah. I do need to add that to my website. I need to kind of add some of the podcasts I've done. Because unless people can see that you can talk.
That's true.
If I ever pitch a podcast, I usually send links to other podcasts. And look, I can do this.
Yeah. I might not have asked you on if I hadn't seen the stuff on Instagram.
Yeah,
or Facebook.
That's crazy.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just something to think about.
Yeah, they need to put out more content. They need to make sure there's always something.
It's like it's online portfolio. Yeah, just keep adding to it. It's the way you can always send. If you've got a page of your sort of repertoire, you can just send them to it.
Yeah, but if you go back, even my first podcast that I was on, it was like digital and like the framing was weird. I was using a really bad webcam, and whereas now I'm pretty branded, I guess. But I'm just more authentic. I know who I am.
But the content always suffers if you're doing it long distance. I thought that's why we don't do it anymore. We tried it, but it's just the conversations, especially if we were just doing that, we would just get on with it. But we were doing both. We were doing this and that, and the comparison was glaring.
You also end up getting a bit distracted by the comments. And particularly the host will always be like, "Oh, thank you. Oh, Sarah, you're watching. Oh, thank you for joining us."
Oh, I wouldn't do that. I would turn that off. I would turn that off because that would affect. Yeah. That would affect this. Exactly. I wouldn't want anyone. That's why we like phones on silent. My phone's over there. I've not even thought about it. Otherwise, it's going to affect what we're doing now.
It works. It's because it's more like a chat show format. I think Graham Norton's really good at
to be honest, I would like to do that sometimes on purpose. So I'm going to talk to someone. We're going to open it up and interact with people. But I wouldn't want to do it every time because this wouldn't be what it was meant to be. I don't think.
Do you see that one with Keanu Reeves? I can't remember the guy's name, Stephen Colbert or someone. And he was talking about the new Bill and Ted movie. And then the interviewer said, "So Keanu, what happens after you die?" And it was kind of like a joke question. But that's a real freaking question to ask someone, right? And he just goes, "Oof." And then he says, "I know that those who love you will miss you." And it was just like, because I was thinking, right? Because that's all you can know as well.
Yeah.
Like,
everything else is the great unknown.
Yeah, exactly. But he's freaking adorable. Like,
he's
cool. One of those people that if somebody says anything bad against Keanu Reeves, you immediately distrust them. It's like, what are you saying? What are you doing?
Has that film been done?
Bill and Ted?
Yeah.
I think it's been May. No, maybe. I've seen him talking about it. So.
Yeah. And Alex Winter, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, it's hard to imagine what they'd be like now. It's like when they did the other Dumb and Dumber.
I don't think it is made, but they've cast their daughters. Their daughters are going to be in it.
Of course they are.
There's two girls. Yeah.
But you seem to like films. You've referenced a lot of films.
Yeah.
A big impact on your life.
Yes.
Which is not a bad thing.
I'm really visual, and I kind of grew up with films. I knew I loved films. Made them, and I taught it for a long time. But I just think I think it's that hero's journey. It's the template of how to be a human being. Some great stories can be told. Yeah,
in that medium.
And if it's part of branding. Like companies need to have a story if they want to engage with their customer base. And apparently, we all kind of daydream until we hear a story. So if you watch kind of like charisma guides or whatever, they'll break down like Kevin Hart or whatever, and Kevin Hart will always be like, hold on, let me tell you a story.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, he's going to tell a story.
Yeah.
And it's like we're programmed to sit down and be, bedtime story or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, tell me the story. What's going to happen?
I love hearing stories. Yeah. That's another thing about podcasting. You always get great stories because they've got the time and the option to do it. Yeah. Whereas most other places they were on, they wouldn't have time to do that.
Absolutely, and depending on the movie, but it can make you question reality. Our reality. I'm obsessed with those types of films, like The Matrix and Snowpiercer, even Divergent.
Things
Hunger
that make
Games.
you think.
Yeah, and be like, wait, this isn't fiction, is it? I love that.
Like, have you ever, like, on a clear night, just looked up at the stars and felt really insignificant?
Yeah, when I lived in Langwathby, it was really crazy.
Or if you've been up at like a top of a huge fell, you're that high up, you can see the stars behind the stars.
That's insane.
That aren't there lower down. And you see a lot more shooting stars. Like, we've camped up there sometimes, and it's just like on a really clear night, it's like amazing. It doesn't get dark until like on 11 o'clock at night or something like that.
And how does that impact you?
I don't know. It just makes you sort of feel insignificant and sort of thing. I wonder what I think there is stuff out there. The only thing I've got doubts about is our encounters with them.
Yeah.
Because if it's possible for us to exist here, it's very naive and shallow to think that, considering how big the universe is, to think that there's no other life out there. Why wouldn't there be?
There's like billions or trillions of galaxies, and then billions and trillions of those, and it's just insane.
To think that we're the only ones?
Yeah.
Why?
What I love, there's this thing with NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, where not everything has to be true all the time. And that's kind of one of my things for, like, I'll change my opinion depending on how I need to feel that day. So with the universe, you can be like, the universe is infinite. We are a heartbeat of a second of existence. The whole human race is a heartbeat of existence, and we are tiny and minuscule. And that just makes you realize that, it's not personal. Nothing really matters. Like, don't get down about anything. But at the same time, the universe is this massive creation, and we're part of it. And if you map the kind of the constellations and the solar systems, they look like the atoms in our body. And it's like we are the universe, and the universe is us, and we're this connected, wonderful thing, which makes me feel really powerful. I'm like, wow, I'm part of the universe. The universe is freaking amazing, and here I am in it. Like,
so I'm going to make the most of it.
Yeah, absolutely, and just feel safe. Like it's
sometimes just makes you think, like, some of the things you worry about, you're just like, shouldn't really be worrying about these things, especially things that you can't do anything about, or stuff that's happened in the past. It's like,
it's just your opinion.
You're only here for a short time.
Yeah,
make the most of it.
Nothing's good or bad. It's just your opinion.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong answer usually.
Yeah, it gets down to, there's a book called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, and he was a psychologist.
What, sorry?
Man's Search for Meaning.
Right.
And he was a psychologist, and he in World War II, and he got put into concentration camps. I think he spent time in like 2 or 3 different concentration camps. So he's gone from this, like, kind of privileged educational life into a concentration camp where he's beaten and physically and emotionally abused. He's sleeping in like a barn on like a bunk bed on like the wooden slats with like 2 men next to him, eating a piece of bread a day or whatever. And he's like, you can be happy if you have a meaning in your life, and if you want it, because he was like, it was as a psychologist, it was interesting working out who's going to break and who's not. And he's like, you could see the guys who gave up and didn't have meaning in their life and couldn't be happy, and then they would die shortly after. They would just kind of give in. Whereas the people who had meaning, he's like, once you get used to it, it's like, well, this is my reality. This is my bed. This is how much food I'm going to get. These guards are cruel. These guards are nice. This is what's going to happen to me today. He was like, we still laughed and joked in that situation. And I think if a psychologist who's been through that tells me that, I can deal with divorce. I can deal with freaking, my partner's cancer. I can deal with, someone not liking me. Because it's just me managing my thoughts. Which is, again, I don't want to be flippant. That takes practice. I can't do it all the time.
No,
but they're intrusive thoughts. They just come.
So have you had much experience with, like, depression? Not you personally, but just with other people, and mental health, and depression and all that stuff as well?
I've got depression myself, and anxiety that comes and goes. And because I work in education, actually, weirdly, when I ran a martial arts studio, it was set. I called it life performance for like. So it's more about if you could stay calm while someone was punching you. Like, can you manage your emotions while someone's choking you? And so we used to attract a lot of people who lacked confidence or going through a bad time or had mental health struggles, because particularly Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, that can really impact your ability to deal with anxiety and mental health. And it's a time. I call it flow state, when you start and then you kind of come out of the role and it's like you've just come out of a dream. You're like, wait, what happened? And particularly when I was sparring, when it was stand up, like I might have a bruised cheek and I'm like, wait, did you hit me? And they're like, oh, I don't know. Because it's
neither of you remembered.
Yeah, because it's not because, I got damaged, but it was because as soon as it happened, it had gone, because that was the past and I was in the present. And I think the depression a lot of time is the past, and anxiety is the future. And if you can just be mindful, and like if you can make a cup of tea, make a cup of tea. So boil the kettle, breathe, get the cup, get the tea bag, wait for the kettle to boil. Wait, you're not supposed to pour the water when it's just boiled. Give it a few minutes, pour it in, let it set. Just breathe, be with yourself. Then pour the milk in, watch the pattern that it makes. Sit down and, like, how many people drink a cup of tea and forget they've drunk it? Like, just be in the moment. And that's, I find, and I do still, anxiety still, intrusive thoughts still come in. I still have really down days, but now I look for the strategy.
Do you have sort of techniques to deal with it?
Yeah. So the first thing, there's a great book. I know I mentioned a lot of books, but called The Chimp Paradox, which kind of breaks down your brain into different parts.
Paradox.
Yeah.
I
And there's a part of your brain which he refers to as the monkey. And the monkey, wants food, it wants sex, it wants companionship. It's looking for the fears. Your monkey is the anxiety. It's like looking for dangers. And the human part of your brain needs to be like, there are no dangers. We've got this. There's no saber-toothed tigers or whatever. And so if I'm depressed, I'm like, okay, how much sleep have I had? Drink some water. Make sure I'm eating healthy. Have I had like my vitamins? Can I get out into a forest? It's all stuff. It's more complex than that. But I'll have.
You've got to start somewhere, haven't you?
Yeah, and I've got anchors around me, and I take. When you're depressed, you have no motivation. So I've got to remove every single obstacle that now enables me to do something. So if I can just remember to be like, Alexa, play some motivational music, or play some epic music, or play Hamilton, then that might be enough to be like, okay, I can get a glass of water. And if I can get a glass of water, it's like, okay, now I'm standing up. Okay, now can I do like I don't know, can I put my body into like a power pose? Like, the way you hold your body directly impacts, how you feel. It's like, okay, well, can I put on a comedy show? Can I get dressed this morning?
Yeah.
And it's like a game of snakes and ladders, but if you keep going, you can make your way out. Sometimes you'll hit a snake and go back down, and I'm monitoring my thoughts all the time. Okay, what am I grateful for? And just list the things I'm grateful for. Okay, call my ex and be like, can I video chat with my daughter?
Because it seems like a lot of people, when they are depressed or they have anxiety or panic attacks, all that gets shut out.
Yeah.
And it's trying to like bring some of that positive stuff back in
Yeah.
to your rational thought. It's a bit like when we had Hannah Jackson on, who was on SAS, Who Dares Wins. The ability to make rational decisions under extreme circumstances. That's a huge part of their training.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
Because it's like you've still got to be able to do your job, even though you might be under fire or whatever.
That's it.
It's like that's a big necessary skill.
Yeah. And I find social media helps me. Like I see social media, like I know that one of the ways to be successful and also manage your mental health is to journal and to kind of write down what you've achieved that day, how you felt, and then you've got a record. I don't do that, even though I know I should, but I will social media, and I will just be like, this is what I'm going through.
Yeah.
Or these are some tips that I've learned. And then you just share it. And I know I'm not alone. And my Twitter feed is people dealing with it. And like the author Matt Haig is always sharing stuff. Mel Robbins is like, she's got a chat show coming up recently, and she'll just share little videos. She's on LinkedIn as well. Like LinkedIn is blurring into it's not just corporate. Like people understand
it started off that way, didn't it?
Very cold and very kind of.
Yeah, you would see them on like other social media platforms, like and they're like, here's my latest project. It's like completely different.
Exactly. But now they've realized that mental health is like the work is killing some people. So mental health is costing companies a massive amount of money. So you need to be open about your mental health at work, and companies need to have policies in place to kind of protect you, because it costs them money. It costs them money in terms of people struggling with mental health will tend to be unengaged employees, which costs companies money.
Not at work,
or they leave, and then you've got to recruit, onboard.
Well, now they have people. A lot of companies have people who work for them who deal just with the mental health side of their staff.
Yeah,
that never used to be a job. Now
exactly
it is.
Right.
But that's companies sort of paying attention and saying, what do we need to do here?
There's in future kind of speak, they're talking about new roles. So like CEO is like chief executive officer, and COO is like chief operating officer, I think. And then they're talking about like Gary Vaynerchuk with VaynerMedia has chief heart officer, who he's put, I think he's put above HR, and he's like his job is to check company culture and welfare. And he's like, so in the future you're probably going to have like the equivalent of like chief heart officers, and you're going to have, it wasn't like environmental, but it was like sustainability. It was whose job is to check where everything you're buying is coming from, to check that it's not having a negative impact on the planet or using kind of slave labor or exploiting anyone. Like, in this day and age, you have no excuse to be using a product or buying something that's harming the planet or people. And you can't be like, oh, it was on our supply chain, but we didn't know they were using kids in the mine. It's like, you freaking need to find that out, because that's a PR disaster for you. Like, you cannot be associated with this stuff. So it's interesting to me that part of it is corporate and cold, like they'll make more money. But the way I see leadership, I can't remember who the guy was. I think it was the guy who owned Costco, was at a wedding, and he saw the dad kind of hand over the bride. You know, this was a few years ago. And he was like, this is really interesting because the dad has brought this daughter up and protected her and been kind to her and loved her. And now he's handing over her to someone else, the groom, with the expectation that that guy is going to protect
on.
Exactly. That is the same as an employer. Like when my daughter goes on into school, my expectation is that they will protect her and nurture her and encourage her just as much as I have. And when she goes into work, that's my expectation.
Right.
Now that's not the reality.
Never has been.
No, but if they do that, she will grow.
Or even somewhat. Just to make step inroads into that, I suppose.
Exactly. But she will grow and she will be curious and she will be a wonderful, wonderful employee.
It's also the working environment, staff getting on with each other.
Yeah.
That's, that can make people not want to go to work if there's someone at work. But like that could be a
Toxic.
job, conflict resolution.
Without a doubt.
As well as
One of the
compassion
things-
and listening and talking and all that. But trying to, team bonding,
Yeah.
trying to get to the bottom of issues and
conflict resolution a lot of the time is ego. It's
quite often.
That's,
Well, even bullying.
yeah,
It's from school into work, it carries on sometimes.
absolutely.
So these are things that never really got addressed previously, did they?
No, but as more leadership,
Brushed under the carpet.
yeah, or just part of it, or like man up, or like.
Yeah,
but it's
the
the
whole
same
man up
with like incels and I guess like sexual banter or whatever. But it's it's
Stuff that was acceptable, not even acceptable, but just ignored, and now is not acceptable.
yeah,
Which
absolutely.
is a good step forward.
But also, again, because pornography is so freaking everywhere, and softcore pornography is now just TV.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
Yeah,
like particularly guys, they don't know how to talk to women, and they sexualize immediately. It's just
That's a good point.
so you've got these really toxic work environments.
So someone's got to try and balance that
Yeah,
by saying, whoa, that's not how we do things here.
the conversation, loads of people talking about leadership, loads of people talking about mindfulness and emotional intelligence. So as long as managers, everyone's a leader. You don't have to be a manager to be a leader, but managers have that influence. So as long as they're hopefully taking it seriously and learning and realizing that they can be vulnerable, and your job isn't to be like, have you done your job? It's to be, hey, can I help you do your job any better today?
Yeah. Do you need anything?
Yeah. Do you need anything? What can I do to help you perform better?
Yeah.
Or that's what
Different man management styles and being more approachable and
like the traditional manager manages things and objects and budgets. Leaders lead people, and by doing that, and a good leader will allow other people to embrace their leadership, and that's you shouldn't be threatened by your staff.
no, you should be. They're an asset.
Yes, hire brilliant people and let them be badass.
Yeah, and coach them and train them and help them and support them and be as good as they can be, because then ultimately it's going to benefit your company.
Exactly, and we know like everyone's seen these memes. Like people leave bad bosses, not companies.
Yeah, that's true.
That's it.
Yeah, or bad colleagues.
Yeah,
That's enough for someone to leave a job.
yeah. Everyone's pretty like, okay, this is my job, I'll do it. But if the work environment is right, you'll do anything.
Yeah, like that's in their own best interest to make work a really good place to work.
Yeah.
People want to come. They're enthusiastic about going to work.
Yeah.
That you could have it. It's your possibility to make it go one way or the other.
Yeah, and it's little things like remembering, noticing someone's got a new coat or
birthdays. Stuff like that.
Can you imagine what
Team bonding every once in a while.
Yeah. Can you imagine what morale would be like if everyone got their birthdays off work, and if it fell on a weekend?
Some do. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, wow, they care for me.
Yeah.
That's my birthday. It was my birthday on Saturday, but so I'm getting Monday off. Like,
Yeah. Little thing. That's a small thing, but yeah.
Another thing I'd really love to see is like the CEOs or companies or managers just calling someone in their company like once a week, a random person. So imagine a CEO called the cleaner. I was like, hey, I just given you a call. I really appreciate the work you're doing. I just wondered if there's anything I can do to make your job any easier. Firstly, they feel cared for, and they might give him a piece of information that saves the company a fortune.
It's a bit like how Undercover Boss started.
Yes,
You
exactly
watched that.
right.
It's become a bit ridiculous now, but the British ones, when they first started, they gained some valuable information that they would not have got otherwise by just going right to the bottom and just spending time with them.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't, if they'd known they were the boss, they never would have divulged a lot of stuff.
Exactly right.
They wouldn't be honest with them.
But then to think, why is that? Why can't you be honest with your boss?
Yeah,
and
you
it's
should
a
be.
fear of consequences or being fired. Like,
Tell them how it is. That's what not what they want to know, what they need to know.
yeah,
From the bottom up. That's the other way around.
exactly.
Incredible.
That got in a very kind of worky, LinkedIn corporate kind of 10 minutes then. It's like,
Yeah, it's all useful information. Well, so how can people find you if they want to find you?
oh man, this is going to sound arrogant, and I don't mean it to be, but I changed all my social media to the Darren Horne with an E on
Well,
the
to
end.
be fair, on Facebook, I am the Marc Farquhar. So,
Really?
Yeah.
But your name's quite rare. Like, I would imagine that you were the only.
Well, because I separated my personal from the
you
the
did.
public one.
Why
Just
did you
because,
do that?
Just because I was too many different types of friend groups, and if I'm sharing stuff about one thing, the other people don't care about it, and I just wanted to separate it and
Okay.
keep it like nobody. Pictures of my dog. Oh, look at this meal I'm
That's
having.
amazing.
Yeah, but I'll keep that to my friends and family. I've kept that separate,
okay.
and then everything else that I do, which is a lot of stuff, I've kept for the public one. So,
Okay,
it's
so-
I'm glad I did it. To be fair.
Okay, so I don't do that yet.
Yeah.
I might do it one day. So I accept anyone on Facebook, and because who knows?
Yeah.
And so it's the Darren Horne on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I connect to everyone. I've got a website, darrenhorne.com, and I will like reach out, ask me questions.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'll give knowledge away for free.
Can people get your book from your website as well?
No, they should. Oh yeah, there'll be a link on there, or it's just Amazon. Just go
Yeah.
Google Darren Horne or Level
And it's
Up Your
called?
Teens. Level Up Your Teens.
Level Up Your
And if you
Teens, yeah.
get it, honestly, I know all authors read the reviews. So if you like it, please leave a review. It will mean I'm up to
Yeah.
like 40 at the moment, and they're on the whole they're really positive. So
What I was going to say actually about another benefit of having a podcast is you know who your audience is. You know how old they were, where
Yeah,
they live,
yeah,
what
yeah.
country they are, what platform they downloaded it on. All these things that build up a picture. So you have a more accurate.
yeah, absolutely.
It's not just a
demographic.
number. It's
Yeah.
like let's delve into this number and see who's engaging.
Is there any weird countries that you're like, wow, someone from like,
Yeah, we have a lot of in Asia,
wow,
like Vietnam and
yeah,
places like Japan.
That's so cool.
Or even into like going in further into it's like Tokyo and breaking it down into cities and towns, and it's like how I don't know how we host with a company called Libsyn,
okay,
and they have opened it up to a lot of services platforms that are only in America, or like we wouldn't have access to that otherwise. So I'm glad we chose them. So like we're on like Pandora, but that's only America only, but it's got like 100 million users.
yeah,
So it's like, yep, okay, that's fine.
that's so amazing.
But it's just important to know your audience, I think, is
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you write a blog or if you put a video up, you don't really know who I connected with. Sometimes someone might get in touch with you,
Yeah,
but the raw data is very useful, I think,
yeah,
especially
totally.
going forward to see if it's changing or if it's growing or whatever.
One of the cool things I love about Snapchat, which I don't use as much anymore, but you can go over to like Japan and just.
I've never used Snapchat.
But you can go to anywhere on the globe, and people are like adding to the global story. So you can go
Yeah.
over to Afghanistan and just see what they're Snapchatting. And
Yeah,
so
that is
this
cool. That
this
is
like,
cool. I like that idea.
You're not having to go through the lens of the media. You
Yeah.
can just go to a village in Afghanistan and see people like taking a piss out of each other and eating
Yeah.
like goat stew.
Like I do like on Instagram. I love like a comedian that I like Dean Del Rey is one of my favorite comedians. He has a podcast as well, and he has like heavy metal. But he just sometimes goes on Facebook Live and he just I've just bought this album. And he puts it on his big vinyl player and he just starts talking about like that didn't used to be a thing. You never would have had that connection with someone who you like.
No,
Like you never had it.
which is
Some people
amazing.
don't like that because with musicians because it takes away the mystique. You know, you only used to hear bits and pieces about them in a magazine or
Yeah.
read the liner notes. But now they're all on social media, so you know everything about them. They're always, I kind of get that, but I'd rather have that direct access to them than not.
Yeah, but there's always the ones who are going to have the mystique. Like,
Oh, yeah.
like Keanu Reeves, everyone loves, but I've got no clue about Keanu Reeves' personal life
Yeah.
at all. Like he's a mystery.
And that's his choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Whereas I do love the fact, like with my students, I'm like, go get some research. Oh, who should I talk to? I was like, well, try Simon Pegg. Oh, but he won't respond to me. I was like, how do you know he won't respond to you?
Yeah.
Like, at least go try. And if he doesn't, try Nick Frost.
Get a list of people. Work your way down.
Yeah. And then if you get one, you then say, hey, I've really enjoyed interviewing you. Can you recommend anyone else?
Exactly.
And before you know it, you're talking to like you've gone up the list. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, people are nice and the world is amazing right now.
If you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah.
All these cliches. How many anymore?
Yeah, don't actually get.
Have you noticed you sign?
If you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
Have I noticed what?
You sign.
Hen DNA error.
You know what that is?
No.
That's an anagram of your name.
Is it really? I
That's
should
what
have
we
got
do
that.
for all our guests.
That's so cool. I
But
don't know if I got
he's
DNA
got some-
error.
It says your name's not very good for anagrams.
Nothing.
I wonder if you got like a lava lamp as well.
Yeah.
This is cool.
It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, it's been a
Thanks
pleasure.
for
Thank you
doing
so much for asking me on.
Down the line, when you've got your next book out and stuff, we'll have you back on. And
That'll be epic. Now I've got And I'll get a podcast and get you on as well.
Yeah, do it. I'm well up for that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Well, thanks for talking to us.
Yes, absolute pleasure. I've really enjoyed it.
All right. Cheers. Bye.